then it's all safe and sound and in the bag. Yeah, okay, now we got some chats then. Okay, let's have a look, see if there's anything relevant. Yes, all good in New Zealand. Colin there, Colin Blackman, good. Oh yes, well I just explained, Philip, that the background to me is dark because I think I'm dazzling the camera. Anyway, we're about to make a start. Well, no, actually, there's still a few minutes to go. Let's not get panicked. But we're all set. We've got a great set of slides and two great speakers. We're going to all introduce ourselves for those of you that may not know who we all are. And there could be such people. I should just have a sip of water to ready myself. And if you're just joining us, welcome, folks. This is going to be a kind of historic moment. I think a huge number, well over 1,000 people registered themselves. It's, you know, it's common practice, it's knowledge that not everybody turns up. Things, you know, they signed up 2 or 3 days ago and things have cropped up. We do understand, and there will be a recording. But for those of you who are here tonight, there's going to be some exceptional gifts, shall we say, gifts or bonuses.
No, it's more than that.
Let's call them gifts, because bonus is a slightly grubby word, really. But that's for the benefit of being on live. The fact that you're here means you're going to be told about this and you can avail yourself or not as you wish. So, in other words, if you're here, stay here. This is just a broad brush outline, okay, but the actual slideshow typically would take about an hour. And we give fairly in-depth, so please don't bombard us with questions straight away in the chat boxes and the Q&A box, because we might actually answer your question before it comes around. Quite possible. But, you know, if at the end you've got questions that you feel have not been answered or not been addressed by the slideshow and by the webinar, then of course that's what Q&A is for. You must ask them and we'll endeavor to answer all the questions, as I said, you know, as a matter of principle. Sometimes questions get a bit repetitious, don't they, John? So, you know, if we've dealt with it once, we're not going to keep answering the same question from somebody else. If we feel we've pretty well covered that, we won't be doing it twice. So, you know, if somebody else asked the question, your question, or a question very like it, we may not address yours exactly, but in principle, we're making sure that everybody who's here knows fully what we're talking about and what the possibilities are. It's a matter of conscience, as it were. Yeah, okay, well, the participants are rocketing now, John, because it's on the hour, and of course there's always a few latecomers, but people are now diving into the webinar, so we'll begin shortly. We'll introduce ourselves then. I'm clearly master of ceremonies, as it were, because I'm the one that's doing all the talking at this point. Big mouth. But anyway, this is our basic slide. We're going to be talking about microcurrent therapy, and we'll learn that microcurrent is very, very tiny, nothing like the TENS machine or things like that. But it's new and it's very exciting, and the results are really somewhat staggering. When I first got one of these devices from a Russian guy years ago, I couldn't believe what it did when I barely knew how to switch the thing on. And now we've got bigger and better and more advanced, so I think you'll love it. We're going to talk about home use. Now, we always, John and Laurie and me always indulge ourselves in a little joke at this point, which is that I think I have this slogan for these devices: every home should have one. And I mean, you know, one of these simple magically healing devices in your bathroom cabinet or your nightstand drawer, wherever you want to keep it. I'll just tell you that I got that phrase from the title of a movie starring, I think, Britt Eklund, Every Home Should Have One, and that was about au pair girls. Every home should have one. But I've commandeered it.
I've one of those too.
I've got a feeling we're making a better use of the phrase than that. It was a ghastly movie. It was supposed to be a comedy. I don't think it was even half funny. Anyway, let's just see how our gathering's going. Oh yeah, we've already way past the number of attendees last time. This is great. So welcome everybody. I'm glad you're with us. For the sake of those very patient people who came on real early and were prepared to wait, I don't want to hang around too much, so maybe a couple more minutes at the most for latecomers. And we'll sort of talk slow for the first 2 or 3 slides, so that as people join us, they won't miss too much. And maybe, maybe a bit repetitious as well in the first 2 or 3 slides, just to get everyone oriented. Anyway, like I said, we're going to be talking about home use. In other words, something you can do at home in your house. You don't have to trollops off to ER. I mean, if it's serious, somebody's bleeding or might have broken a bone. Of course you go to ER, get bandaged, plastered, x-rays if it's needed. But that's when one of these devices will come into its own. Take the person home and give them a treatment. My son, who's a chef, slipped on a greasy floor once. It's one of the hazards of the job, I suppose. Fell over and smashed his leg, went straight through the ankle joint, not just broke a bone, but went through the ankle joint, 2 or 3 bones. All I could think of was using one of these things, and I couldn't even get to the bad leg because it was covered in a plaster pot to keep it still. So I used it on the opposite leg and, copied the injury on the opposite side. And as you'll be hearing, that's almost just as effective, really. The body has this sort of mirror image view of itself. Anyway, listen, enough prattle. I think it's time that was kind of filling in, yada, yada. It's time that we actually got going. So what we're going to do is introduce ourselves and the topic. We're going to show you, I'll read this for you, okay? Is that okay, John? I'm going to show you how and why these systems and techniques work and why the ones that are out there don't work. In a nutshell, it's a bit unkind to say don't work, but look, I've got a very brutal definition of a cure. It's rough. It says no more symptoms, no more treatment. If you're having ongoing treatment, you're going to take painkillers for the rest of your life, for example, or every few weeks for years and years. That's not a solution. Nothing is resolved. It's just covering it up as well here. So we're looking for real healing solutions. Gone. We don't need any more treatment. We're not having any more problem. We are now happy. We are done. So that's what we're looking for. And of course, existing treatments are not very often like that. I mean, okay, it can happen. A kiddie breaks his wrist, say, stuck in a pot for 3 or 4 weeks. And when the pot's off, healing's taking place. That's good. That's a good result. But that's not the common result, unfortunately, in modern medicine. They want to keep on messing around and patching things up and treating things. Anyway, to repeat what I said, for those of you that stay right till the end, we've got actually quite a few different bonuses. We'll tell you what you need to do to get one, but there's one bonus everybody can have, so everyone's entitled to that one. Okay. Almost all of you, I think, came off my list, but in case a few of you have asked friends and neighbors, and that's possible, I'll just very briefly introduce myself. I am this person, Keith Scott-Mumby, and I've got 4 external degrees. I've been professor at a couple of holistic universities over the years, and I've been very big into holistic health. It's been my mission in life for the past 40 years, really. I am trained as a doctor, so I'm certified as a surgeon and certified as a physician, but I dumped all that in the bin pretty soon afterwards and started healing people with natural methods, putting people on diets, and homeopathy and so on. I've written quite a few books, but one of them particularly is very relevant to us here tonight, Medicine Beyond, which means kind of beyond the obvious normal laws of science and physics. Stuff that might seem woo-woo to some people, but actually it's not woo-woo. As a friend of mine, Dr. Cyril Smith at Salford University in England said, if only doctors and some of these scientists understood advanced physics, it wouldn't give them a problem. They wouldn't be worried. Advanced physics doesn't just say some of these things could happen. It actually says they must happen by the definition of physics. For example, survival after death. We must survive as an energy and information field. Physics says that, not me. It's not religion, it's not nothing. It's physics. So even when the body's gone, there's something of you kicking around. And that's not woo at all, really. It's just, as I said, plain facts. Okay, the stars of the show are these three. The third young fellow, Rob, on the right, you won't be seeing, but I can tell you he's behind that screen, so if anything goes really wrong, he'll pop into view and fix it.
John first.
So introduce yourselves, guys. Ladies first, I think.
Oh, I just said John first.
Oh, okay.
Is that a lady's prerogative, you say?
Yeah, you go first. Go on, get on with it.
Well, yes, I've been involved with microcurrent therapy for 20 years. My background is as a doctor of natural medicine, integrative medicine. I have my PhD in that as well. And, well, we've been, I've also got degrees in homeopathy, naturopathy, acupuncture. I've dabbled quite a bit in acupuncture, written some material. We've written several books. I don't know how many books we've written now on microcurrent itself. Maybe 5 or 6, maybe 7.
We keep going.
We just keep
yes,
going.
including getting commissioned to write one for Malaysian doctors on wound healing, yeah?
Yes, I have a wound healing book as well. That was following a 100-person study we did in Malaysia, which came out very, very, very
Really
good.
successful.
Very successful. 30 days. After 30 days, 100 patients from Malaysia were all better.
Improved or cured totally? A mixture of both, but definitely improved, yeah?
100%.
Wow.
So it has, what it's done actually, it's gotten the attention of the American research groups, Stanford University and Baylor University, I think, yeah, and Southwest, all got involved in the research that we came back with.
And they're now doing their own studies, aren't they?
They finished, Baylor has finished their studies and they're publishing in PubMed. They'll be the studies will be published in the next couple of months. So it's actually opened the field for microcurrent right into mainstream medicine and in wound healing,
right.
which is a huge movement.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, that's woo-woo to respectable in about 10 years. It's a miracle. No, yeah. 20 years, isn't it?
A miracle.
20 years, it's 1999.
20 years, but, you know,
it took 20 years.
It took 20 years, but it's, you know, it's been a good ride, really.
It's meteoric fast in medicine, trust me.
And
you remember years ago, I coined this term Star Trek medicine, you know, a little thing you can hold in your hand, click a button and somebody can grow a new arm if they've lost their arm. That's in the story. Well, we're quite close to that. Well, let me just finish what I was saying, darling, which was that I coined this term Star Trek medicine, which seemed a bit far left field, but now, as you've been hearing, mainstream medicine has got it. What did you say, sweetheart?
You said there's a couple of people coming up on the bottom of the screen saying they've got no sound.
Oh, Lordy. Well, I mean, if everybody else is getting sound, it can't be us.
Must be them, mustn't it?
That's a bit sad.
Good here, yeah.
Oh, gosh, actually, I'll tell you, the number of people who are on this call later, you'll faint. Remarkable. Now, let me just see if there's anything in the chat then. I can hear fine. I've got sound. I have sound out here.
Yes. So a lot of them are saying they have.
Thanks, Roger. So I don't know what your problem is, folks, but the old trick is to just shut the whole thing down, reboot your computer, and click in again. We'll go slow, so we'll only be 2 or 3 slides ahead of you.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that you're having trouble, but I can fairly assure you it's not us. Oh yeah, and somebody, just put in a suggestion here, which is if you hover at the bottom. Do you remember if I told you if you hover, you'll see a series of icons? You might have the sound one and the video one blanked out. It's just possible. So play around with that possibility too. But be assured there are several hundred people on this call and there's only 2 or 3 saying they're not getting sound. So I really don't believe it's us.
Oh, it does.
Meaning, you know, meaning I don't know what to do. There's nothing wrong at our point. So there's something wrong with the connection you're getting. Try a good old reboot. All right. So I understand your interruption now, Laurie, but it's your turn on the stage. Go on,
Oh, right.
sweetheart. Tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm a doctor of natural medicine, and I have been involved with the microcurrent for 20 years, the same as John. It became my passion really moving forward just because it's so successful. And before I used to have sort of certain people that I couldn't help, but now I can help like 99% of people. I can take away their pain, I can change the way they live. There's so many things I can do with it that this is just really who I am and what I am now.
Mm-hmm. Marvelous. And you're pretty good with animals too.
I love
We may
them.
not get a chance to cover that tonight, but all
No.
of what we say for humans will work for poor suffering animals too.
Well, animals and children, they have no preconceived ideas, so you can resolve their issues a lot faster.
Yes,
Yeah, I'll
they
be
have
doing training in Idaho one day.
no attitude problem like this couldn't possibly work.
That's
Okay,
right.
let's moving on then. So we had a little interruption there with the sound issues, but we're going to make a promise. Now the three of us are making this promise to you, and if you don't feel it's been fulfilled, please let us know at the end. But by the end of this webinar, we want you to know and understand what's behind. I mean, obviously, we don't think you're going to become a world-class expert just listening to a webinar, but we try and explain the principles so that you understand how this can work and how it can help, how it's actually vitally important against inflammation, and how it could help you, depending on what your problems are, but it helped you get on track to fully resolve your issues, whatever it may be, chronic disease, illness, pain, and as Laurie said, reclaim your life, get somebody's life back on track. Pretty important promise, but we've done this enough times now for me to feel pretty confident that we can deliver on that promise. Okay, shortly I'll be turning over to my experts. Well, in fact, why don't you take over on this one? I've got all sorts of flashing lights on the control panel, people trying to say help or whatever. Let me deal with them while you what are we going to be taught?
Well, we're taught pretty much that if you have a problem, if you're in pain, or if you have any kind of medical challenge, that if you go see your doctor, you will walk out with a prescription or a referral to another medical specialist. And the prescription might be some kind of a pain medication that will permit you to be able to degenerate pretty well in peace. So you can. There's nothing there that will heal you. Everything that the medicine has come up with is possibly treatment protocols, um, algorithms, in fact, that
Nothing
no,
personalized.
nothing personalized. Try this and take Tylenol, take two, take pain meds, take whatever it is, and call me in the morning, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It used to be call me in the morning. Now it's don't bother to call me at all.
Don't bother to call me. But I mean, that's the big bugaboo with modern medicine. It considers everybody the same,
Mm-hmm.
and not one person is the same as anybody else. You know, they deal with the average patient, give the average dose over the average time. There is not one single human being walking this earth who is actually average. So they're treating average people. You know, people may have an average height or an average something or other, but not all of the characteristics. And it's the folly that they get stuck into. Well, we have a better answer. We do. It's personalized. This device will, as you'll be hearing, lock into your nervous system and deal exactly and directly with you, the person, not just some principle. Okay. Over to you guys. I'll try and keep you in the loop, otherwise I end up talking too much.
Never.
I think that the pill thing became so evolved.
Oh, yeah.
Where we went from the Advil to the Tylenol, and then we went to the opiates, and of course the opiates have ended up killing so many people. So many people have died that the FDA, after maybe 20, 25 years, finally went after them, shut them down. And today, there is not a medical doctor anywhere who dares write a prescription for an opiate drug. Now,
But it took too long.
it took a long
Yes, it did.
time.
That's
Far
as
too
far
many
as I'm
people
concerned.
died.
Yeah.
And of course, it's possible to be cynical, isn't it, and believe that Big Pharma was very happy to get people addicted, and it was a great business model. Once the people are hooked, then you can go on selling them something that doesn't work. It just has temporary relief and won't cure them. What a deal. Anyway, we can do better.
Yes.
So
then pills will lessen your pain, your discomfort, make you feel good, make you feel well when you're not. But at the same time, a lot of people don't understand that these medications.
But it comes with a mortgage, doesn't it? Really?
Oh my God, yes. And what it does to you inside, if you
Yeah.
look at most of the medications that are out there, will actually modify the way your body functions. So that it comes with a mortgage. You're absolutely right. Yeah. So that feeling good today is going to shorten your life at the other end. There's no medications that don't affect you physically somehow and shorten your lifespan. Where at some point, you might get a second, a third, and a fourth medication to resolve the damage that was done by the first.
By the previous, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? I love this graphic. This is surgery.
One of my favorites.
I know, it makes me laugh, but it's so true. I mean, surgery is one of the most expensive alternatives. And the trouble is, it's permanent. You know, if they cut out the part, you're never going to get it back. If they block something or cut something off, you're done. There's no possibility then of restoring full function. And as I said, it costs the earth. But
mechanical intervention is difficult to restore.
It should be the last resort.
It should be the very last resort.
It should be life-saving situations only. Not any kind of resort. Just only do it if the person's going to stop breathing or already has. Yeah. I read, it just reminds me of, I saw a funny, well, I think it was a jokey article. Actually, now I live in America. Maybe it wasn't jokey. Maybe it was real. But they were talking about a walletectomy for pain in the back. They would take your wallet and empty it out and then give you an empty wallet. And you felt more comfortable because there wasn't so much pressure on you.
That was a commercial.
That was a commercial, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Too much money in that wallet.
Yeah, we'll help you out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, some of the reasons, we all know some of the reasons why surgery isn't that good an option. For one thing, it hurts, so you're back to the pain pills. And as I said, there's permanent damage. Scarring. Now, we're going to talk about scarring, but just mention it here. It's one of the problems that we encounter, isn't it, with electrical control and management of the body. Scars screw it up.
We're starting to understand another medical model, which we haven't really looked into. I mean, mainstream medicine hasn't, in that the body is actually not a bag of chemicals, but a very complex communication system where we're dealing with the brain, with the heart, and with 50 trillion cells, all communicating back and forth, up and down in a congruent way. And as soon as you start cutting into those communication pathways, you're impeding communication. And we all know about Brexit, or if you start cutting communication, things start going downhill in a hurry.
Yeah. Okay, so that's often what they say, isn't it? Well, we can't do anything. Yeah.
There's nothing we can do. We hear that so often, that there's nothing that we can do. If you have rheumatoid arthritis or any of these diseases, we can't do anything to heal it, but we can give you medication so that you can live with it. But unfortunately, they don't tell you about the adverse effects connected to that medication, which you may not be able to live with.
Yeah.
And if you do live with them, how long do you live?
Yeah, all of those things are negative. All right, so we might be preaching to the choir a bit, eh?
I think so.
But we're going to challenge this fundamental truth, supposed truth of medicine, that, you get busted and then it can't be fixed, and, we can help you out and we can help you cope and manage. All three of us here, and probably a very large number of people who are listening, all believe in nature, that she can heal things. Hey, if you break an arm or a leg, it'll heal if you just stay out the way. Just fix it so it doesn't move, and then take your hands off and go away. Nature will take care of it, and nature can heal an incredible number of things, even cancers. We all know, don't you? You too. I know. Terminal cases of cancer are going to die within the day, who ended up fully well, walking around 20 years later. nothing wrong with them. Doctors are always, they insist on giving these prognostications. You've only got 6 months to live. How do they know that? They don't even know how long they're going to live. I know a cancer doctor who said to a patient, "It only lasts 6 months," and this was socially, it wasn't a medical situation, but she was laughing her head off because she said he died years ago, and she was still there. She didn't die at 6 months at all. She had some relief, some help. So we're talking about self-healing, right? And if there isn't self-healing, there has to be a reason. This is our basic message, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much so. Well, we are made to self-heal. And I think that the question always is, if you're not healing, why are you not healing? What's going on? What's impeding that healing? What's keeping that healing from taking place? And most of the time, it might be what you're eating, what you're breathing, the stress that you're going through at the time, your lack of exercise, you're not sleeping right. There's something going on in your life that's keeping you from healing. In fact, we'll talk about inflammation in a few minutes, and we'll also look at what state must we be in to actually heal. If we're in fight or flight, we're never going to heal in that state. You have to be in a certain state to be able to heal.
And these devices can help put you in that state. So,
yeah. Okay, so moving on. We're gradually easing into pain, chronic disease, chronic pain, result of inflammation. Tell us what inflammation is, John.
Well, inflammation comes in, first of all, inflammation is a natural response by your body, which releases oxygen, free radicals to break down the bonds of the intruder. But when it goes, and it will accelerate healing at that very moment. But if it keeps on going, then it becomes chronic inflammation. Now, what we're looking at is that when acute becomes chronic, we should have been able to heal that person during the acute stage. If we did, we would never see chronic inflammation appear, and we would never see chronic pain meds either. When we get into the chronic stage of inflammation, then we start seeing different diseases start to appear. We start to see autoimmune diseases appear, and we see all kinds of other processes start to break down. Inflammation in itself becomes a barrier to healing.
Yeah.
You cannot heal if you have a lot of inflammation going on in your body.
Right, and it's not a comfortable state to be in either, is it? So what do doctors do with inflammation? Well, they mask it, they hide it. They very rarely solve it because they're not looking for the right issues.
Well, they usually give you medications again. If it's not over-the-counter medication, it might be some other form of medication. But these medications are only meant to be short-term. There is no chronic pain medication that's meant to go on maybe past 2 weeks, 10 days. I can't see somebody being on cortisone for more than 10 days.
Right, shouldn't be. But yeah,
It should
people
never
are on
be
it
more than 10
years,
days. So,
aren't they?
yeah.
Years.
So usually what we need to do, what we do, and what we're starting to see now is that we're starting to look at the causal factor. What caused this problem in the first place? You weren't born that way, so why is this happening?
Yeah. One of the models we use sometimes for anyone who's not heard it, but if your car engine has a problem and a red warning light comes on, the correct thing to do is not stick some gum over the red light so you can't see it anymore. The correct solution is to fix whatever's wrong before the engine blows out. But a lot of these drugs are simply sticking gum over the red light, the medical equivalent of doing that, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so some strong message here, John. You can't really heal and regenerate if there's inflammation going on. Well, tell us about the difference between systemic inflammation and localized inflammation.
Systemic inflammation means that we have a system that's in trouble. It could be your urinary tract infection, which would mean that the whole urinary system is in trouble. The kidneys, the bladder, and all of the passages on the way out. You could have an inflammation in your gut. and that's a big deal to talk about as well. I think you wrote a book on that one called What was it?
Well, I wrote Fire in the Belly, diet-wise.
Fire in the
There's a
Belly.
new one coming out, One Diet for Life. These are all about that particular problem. There's no more permanent, insistent, and troublesome fire in the body than
Yeah.
that's caused by food.
And certain foods. And we're seeing that inflammation now, even fire in the belly, has a spin-off effect even to the central nervous system, to your brain.
Yeah.
So we're seeing depression being caused by inflammation that's far away. That's what we would call systemic inflammation.
Yeah, well, I mean, the connection's so strong, you know, people are talking about the second brain now in the gut, and like 90% or more of the body's serotonin, the happy neurotransmitter, is down there in the gut, actually, not in your brain. It's quite shocking to some people, but that's how much of a control our gut has over it. Gut inflammation. I mean, we have a lot of sayings, don't we? You know, I feel it in my gut, and I've got this sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. We've got all sorts of language about that. Anyway, so inflammation. So
we've been talking about this for a long time. In fact, inflammation was discovered over 2,000 years ago as being accompanied by redness, heat, swelling, and pain.
Galen, the Roman physician.
That's right. Way back, I think it was 005 or maybe somewhere around there. A long, long time ago. And so we've known about inflammation being the root cause of many diseases. In fact, inflammation is the root cause now of more than 4,000 chronic diseases.
Yeah, well, it's important to say that because I think some people might have come on the call, hopefully, and thought, oh, I don't have inflammation, I've got colitis. Or, oh, I don't have inflammation, my problem is migraines. Or, no, I don't have inflammation, I just have allergies. 2 or 3 slides back, we said it very well. Inflammation underpins everything. All diseases are underpinned by inflammation. And if you don't get rid of it, it's very hard to get any sort of a solution. Okay, it's just saying the same thing again, I suppose, in another way, isn't it? You've got to, you know, the difference between pretending it's solved and it being solved. Yeah. There's worlds apart. It has to be a real solution. Otherwise, you know, you're lopping years off your life. The number one anti-age, I mean, people talk about, you know, mitochondria and telomeres and these things, but the number one anti-ager is inflammation. All those old age diseases, you know, Alzheimer's, arterial disease leading to heart attacks, arthritis, you know, your creaky joints. It's all inflammation. Even cancer has this inflammatory element.
We actually have a name for it. We call it inflammaging.
Inflammaging, yeah.
All of the diseases of inflammation actually are involved in aging.
Okay, so let's move on to the solution, which, as everybody knows, is microcurrent therapy. What the hell is that? Well, first of all, let's tell us what it isn't, please.
Well, it certainly isn't TENS devices, because when you mention microcurrent, people kind of jump to the, oh, it's 10. It must be one of these TENS devices that I got out of China, and that didn't work for me so well. And it came with a bunch of caveats that says I can't put it anywhere around my head, my heart, my neck, my throat.
So really don't put it on you.
Don't put it on you. It's crazy stuff. So it's about it's the same. Microcurrent is when we talk about the brain, the heart, and the 50 trillion cells that make up your body, they all communicate through microcurrent. So microcurrent then becomes the communication system of the body.
Right.
Particularly in what we call a sine wave. A sine wave is the simplest frequent wave that we know of. Even a robin's song is a sine wave. Anything that's
one of those twisty waves that does that, right?
That's very simple wave.
Yeah.
So and it's not a man-made wave. It's not manufactured. It's a sine wave.
Well, there's something we didn't actually say, but we were talking about doctors and scientists obsessing with stuff and the chemicals that make up a body. But, you know, a corpse has exactly the same chemicals, but isn't doing much. The difference is that a living organism has electrical potential, especially at the cell membrane. There's a small, voltage potential there, and that's the definition of life. If that's not there, you're talking, you know, you've got a corpse.
Yeah.
And yet it has all the same chemicals, the same enzymes, the same neurotransmitters, all that stuff. It's all there, but didn't doing anything. The
So you're
difference
missing the
is
signal.
electrical current.
That's right. The signal is not there.
Yeah.
So what is that signal? Is that spark in the machine?
I jumped. So yeah. So tell us, you know, well, we want to be clear that it's not a TENS device. So I can see there, for example, quickly, TENS runs at a much higher voltage, a sort of ouch voltage, doesn't it? Really.
It does, and it will. It actually was made with the idea of re-educating muscles, for example. So muscle re-education, TENS device is very good. It makes your muscles jump and kind of gets it going. But it has nothing to do with what we call the peripheral nervous system, which is that nervous system that connects to all of our body on the outside and connects to the central nervous system, which is your brain, and connects to the autonomic nervous system, which is your fight or flight response. And what they're discovering now at the NIH, they have a program. Anybody can if you do a Google on this, we call it Google. And if you do NIH, and the second word you want to put in is SPARC, spark.
SPARC. Well, first of all, let's tell folks, NIH is the American National Institutes of Health.
That's right.
Government body. And why should they type in Spark?
Spark. Then you'll have right into the program that is funded by the NIH, National Institutes of Health, which involves what we call closed loop neuromodulation, or exactly what we are talking about today. And they're looking at that program to be able to circumvent the use of pharmaceuticals in the future.
Mm-hmm. So the government's looking at it. But I know one of the biggest disadvantages of TENS is that it tends to dull and damage the nerves eventually, doesn't it? Because you're hitting them with too high a voltage, so eventually the nerves get moody and won't perform. So you don't kind of feel the pain, but that's not a good solution, is it?
No, it's electronic Tylenol is what it is. It's
never heard it called that. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so PEMF, it's PEMI, pulsed electromagnetic energy, PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic frequency, PEMT, that's pulsed electromagnetic therapy. These are all the same thing, but again, it's not what we're talking about tonight. You need to be clear. Tell us what this one is or isn't. It's not microcurrent therapy.
Yeah. PEMF, we have used PEMF. As a matter of fact, we have devices that plug into our devices that emit PEMF fields. So that when we want to enhance what it is that we're doing locally, we can flood an area with electromagnetic fields. Fortunately, we can choose, we can use one of our devices as what we call a generator or a signal generator, where we can push PEMFs out. And we have used PEMFs connected to our technology for wound healing, for example.
Yeah,
which is great, but it isn't exact. It isn't
microcurrent.
It's not the same thing. So I mean, TENS isn't the same thing, and these may be problems with it. PEMF or PME is good. It has a good effect, but it's still not what we're talking about here, right? Okay, so let's move on to what is it that we're talking about here. Microcurrent. How tiny a current is microcurrent? So.
Well, let's say for people who know TENS, it's 1,000 times weaker than a TENS device.
Oh, okay.
Your heartbeat is actually a microcurrent. Your signals from your brain to the rest of your body is microcurrent. You can't feel it. You don't know it's going on, but me moving my arms around, I'm getting a signal from my brain telling my arms to move around. It's actually communicating in microcurrent.
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, I'm not taking questions, but somebody's getting impatient. Said, "Oh, you're going to show this thing?" Yes, absolutely, we're going to show it. We're just talking so that you understand, you know, what we're showing in effect. What are we showing then? What does FSM stand for?
It's frequency specific. Frequency specific. It takes a lot of training. You have to be pretty well versed in this. It's a plug in the wall sort of technology. It's a big generator. It has many channels on it, so that you channel A and channel B and so on and so forth. It isn't anything that is handheld like this.
Yeah. Okay. So this is easier to use.
Yeah.
Oh, much, much easier.
And we use algorithms, and I'll explain a little bit later on what an algorithm is, instead of different frequencies on channels.
Right. Okay. So what are we doing here? What does this show? It looks clever. What's it showing?
So it shows that we have found a way to be able to flip the switch on inflammation, like putting the brakes on a car, if you will, shutting down inflammation so that it is no longer being produced. And inflammation has been found out by the medical field that it's actually your brain that sends a signal to create inflammation.
Yeah.
And it's your brain that creates redness, heat, swelling, and pain as well.
Right. And all these nasty chemicals called cytokines.
That's right.
Okay, so this is important. So to spend a little time here explaining, this device talks to the brain and the brain talks to it. It's not just throwing therapeutic waves at the body. We are actually having a dialogue, aren't we? Explain it to us, John.
Well, the dialogue.
Don't hesitate to join in, Laurie. I want to hear your lovely voice.
If it goes wrong, I'll be butting in. Don't worry.
That's called marriage.
It is.
I got my redundant system with me. So.
And I'm not that redundant.
So fundamentally, the idea was if we could get the brain involved in the healing process, it would be something that medicine has never really done. That's why we talk about double-blind studies, so on and so forth, to kind of eliminate the brain in the healing process. So the idea came about and said, what if we included the brain instead of pushing it aside?
And of course, I mean, we are capable of healing ourselves, so why not include the whole body?
So there's lots of good pharmaceuticals up there in the brain, and they're not dangerous and addictive like the ones that the pharmaceutical industry puts out. The body makes them, so the body's happy with them, and they don't hurt.
We can probably produce more chemicals in our body than any pharmaceutical industry could. And we can do it instantaneously. As a matter of fact, every time that we have an image that comes to our mind, we are actually producing the chemicals to adapt to that image that we're seeing.
Yeah, now there's something the slide isn't showing here, but the device delivers a dose. We use that word dose, don't we, even though it's electromagnetic signaling. There is a fixed dose for I mean, it's not a fixed algorithm, but the dose is set by the machine, I should say.
It is
the brain, you tune into the brain, and then the brain says, okay, I'm ready and waiting, and the device then sends the signal. It's all clever stuff like that, isn't it?
The idea is if you have pain or an area where you want to send information into the central nervous system, send it along what we call the C fiber route, which is the non-myelinated. That takes a lot more push.
Oh, you're getting technical, John. Non-myelinated means it doesn't have the insulating lining outside. Different sort of nerve fiber. Don't get technical on us.
I knew you'd explain that to the good people out there. So.
Yeah.
So I had ventured out, but these nerve fibers, which make up a good part of our body. So if we could latch onto these nerves, send the information up to the brain receives that information, sends the information back through the device, telling the device, I got the message.
And I tell you what frequency I need.
Yeah. So it really is a unique, personalized delivery of or at least I put this in for a joke, but this is to make the point. Okay, it's like the device will ring up the brain, say, hello, this is our a microcurrent device, and the brain will say, yes, I can hear you loud and clear. We're ready for the signal. Please send the signal. It's like that, isn't it? Really. And then when it's finished dosing, the brain will say, okay, that's enough. Thanks, we're done. It's kind of clever like that, isn't it?
It is, and even I'd push it even further. I'd say it's more like a fax. Facsimile machine where you actually latch on and you get a signal that yes, I've got that signal, and then it tells you how many pages to go and so on and so forth. This technology is very similar to a fax.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, I'm getting endless messages coming through, people wanting to raise their hand and wanting to ask questions. I'll repeat what I said at the beginning. I'm not taking interruptions, really, unless it's very relevant. We will be doing a full Q&A at the end. We'll be dealing with everybody's questions, so please just be patient. One of the reasons is that we might already answer your question. We've got a lot to say yet, and if it answers your question, why interrupt with the question? Because it's going to be answered. We don't know, but obviously, if at the end you feel you've got a question that's not been addressed, by all means, feel free to ask it. There's a box there. If you hover on the bottom and see those icons, one of them is Q&A, so you just type your question in. I'll take those up afterwards, and also the chat box. There's quite a few chats coming through. But we want to move on with the story. Okay, so we, certain amount of respect for people who haven't got all evening to listen to this. So here we are. We're talking about a device or a family of devices, and you could see this word Avatsia. Did you coin that word Avatsia, or was it the Texas?
No, Avatsia coined Avatsia.
Yeah.
A word that doesn't exist.
They created two Z's. It's like
it sounds very fancy Italian in some way.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not. But anyway, this is an example of a device. Let's look at the one on the left. You can see there a small handheld thing. In fact, John just waved it to us. Wave it again, John, so that you can get an idea of scale.
I got it.
You got it.
Yeah, so that's the scale of the thing. Can you see it? It's just simple, handheld, like a TV remote almost. There's a bag to put it all in, but all these other things are ways of delivering the signal. So you've got a comb which you put through your hair, got cables to connect them. You can have sticky pads. You can that sort of rod that splits like that we call the Y probe. That's great. We'll be teaching you something very important that can do shortly. And over on the right here is the sort of big brother version. It's called the Sport Pro. And what's different about this webinar, last time we did the household version, I wanted to bring in the heavyweight as well. This one, the Sport Pro, that's the device for health practitioners. Plenty of people have bought them privately too, but health practitioner, if you're a chiro, ND, MD, osteopath, all of these things, whatever you're doing in any field, even if you're just a masseuse, it would be great to have one of these, and it's extremely powerful. As you'll be hearing, it can do miracle things. The home device is what you'd think. It's for curing things that are accessible, like sore throats, headaches, bruises, cuts and wounds. The big device, which we'll tell you about, can practically cure any disease, I would say. Anyway, let's talk about here something called, can you folks, I can see some little images of me and the Haches. Can you see it, folks? Is it in the way of the words here? Because the word vagus nerve stimulation is there on the left, but it was being obscured by the pictures. Is that true? No? Okay, don't worry. All right. Explain to this, first of all, you need to tell us what is the vagus nerve before we start throwing it around. And then why would stimulating that be useful?
Well, the vagus nerve, of course, it stands to reason. It's called vagus nerve because it's vague and it's meandering throughout the body. We can latch onto it.
Is that really? Are you having me on? I think that's a jokey explanation, isn't it?
No, actually not.
It should be the peregrinous nerve. Peregrination means wandering around. I don't know what Vegas means.
We can call it that.
Anyway, we'll discuss that afterwards. It used to be called the
nerve.
It used to be called the splanchnic nerve, which means going to your guts, because it goes to your guts.
That's right,
and almost everywhere else.
It's important. I think the importance has been underlined since 2016 when it appeared in Scientific American.
Yeah,
and we have done presentations of that in the past.
Maybe this is
a big thing of it.
This might be a moment to say that Big Pharma's onto this, aren't they? GlaxoSmithKline put tens of millions into developing a little implant device that will stimulate the vagus nerve. And of course, it's going to cost tens of thousands of dollars, and they'll have to refit it every few years. Yeah. Oh, what a money spinner. It's going to be great because it does work. If you stimulate the vagus nerve, you soothe all inflammation and calm things down. But you don't need any of that fancy Nancy baloney. The little devices that I just showed you in a case on the last slide will do all of what John is going to be talking about now.
Both these devices does.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
No, no, pretty much. It will stimulate the vagus nerve, period.
The vagus nerve operates under a specific frequency. What it does is that when you are in fight or flight, let's say you're running from a bear, and you've got just make it more complicated. You're running from a bear and you got diarrhea. Okay.
We
Now,
don't need the complications, thank you.
well,
You're freaked out of your wits and running like hell, and your body delivers enough short-term oomph to be able to outrun a bear for about 100 yards.
for about 100 yards. But the thing is that your body's not going to be healing the diarrhea. It's going to be running like hell.
Yeah.
Well, if the bear catches you, it becomes the bear's problem. But
okay, come on, carry on.
Come on, get serious. No, so these are some of the things that we can do by stimulating the vagus nerve. Maybe a lot of people, I'm stepping in for a minute, John, but know the term sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system.
Right.
The sympathetic is the flight or fight, and the parasympathetic is the relaxation, calm, the eat, sleep, and digest mode, right? The
That's
vagus nerve is the master nerve for parasympathetic. It wants everything calm, quietened down, relaxed, feeling good, chill. That's the vagus nerve function, right? So if you stimulate it, it can hand it out free for you. So all of these possible, what's CRPS, chronic regional pain syndrome?
Chronic regional pain
Yeah,
syndrome.
Americans and these abbreviations, I don't remember them all. Anyway, as we're saying, inflammatory disease, that includes autoimmune. Fibromyalgia, as the Americans call it, we call it ME, or myalgic encephalomyelitis in Europe, just means extreme fatigue, feeling lousy, aches and pains everywhere. And it's great for that too, isn't it?
That's right.
Okay, let's see what's coming up. Oh yes, so I mentioned that Big Pharma's doing this, so talk us through what Big Pharma proposes to do, and then we'll talk about why this is better.
What they want to do is they actually implant a jelly bean size. It's not jelly bean yet. It's still quite a big piece of equipment. They're looking at making it smaller someday. But the idea is to implant a stimulator onto the vagus nerve with a power pack under your shoulder blade. And it's all connected wirelessly to maybe like a computer. So that it will give you a jolt of 7 to 12. Actually, the NIH, their studies have said somewhere around 8 point something hertz is what it takes to put the vagus nerve, to shock it and put it back into parasympathetic, meaning all is good and we can heal and we can eat, sleep, and digest and assimilate and do all of these wonderful things once we're in that mode. This is what the idea is. But what we discover is that it is not necessary to cut into your neck and implant something that's going to be there forever. You can actually stimulate the vagus nerve from the outside.
Right, and for as long or as short a time as you like. And if you get bored with it, you just put the device away till the next day. You're not having a permanent storm of signals being sent down your vagus nerve. And you put scar tissue here. Now explain why scar tissue we think is, well, you already did, but just remind people why scar tissue is an extremely bad idea. You wouldn't want to create it deliberately.
Scar tissue acts as a capacitor, and a capacitor in electronics means it's a device, an electronic device that stores energy or electrical potential. And a conductor, it simply means it does not store that energy, it just communicates up and down. So when you create a capacitor, you can go, scar can go all the way up to 1.5 volts of power, which is enough to kick out just about any form of communication up and down on your.
It's enough to light a small light bulb, isn't it?
Sure,
the little lamps that you use, when you're in the dark trying to see what's wrong with your car. It's enough to work one of those small battery-operated torches.
It is.
Yeah, it actually, I don't think you quite said it, John, but it blocks flow, doesn't it? I mean, a capacitor is made by insulation between the two layers, so the current won't flow. So it stores up charge on one side that's the opposite of charge on the other side. Very clever idea. Stores electricity. But in terms of communication, the scar tissue will just block the flow of signals.
Right.
Bad news. All right, let's do it better. our way.
So what we've come up with, and we've been doing this now for several years, great results. The results are as promised, actually. And you don't do it once. It's not holy water. You just don't, spray the person and you're okay. It's an entrainment process, so that even if you had it implanted, it would go off maybe 4, 5, 6 times a day. Because during those periods of high excitement, where you feel in your day, maybe your doctor will figure it out before going to bed or getting up in the morning or during the day, several processes that make you hyper anxious and excited that you want to calm that down.
But you don't have so much control, do you?
You don't have control over it. Once it's programmed. I mean, even if you're making love to your wife, that thing goes off.
That's the last moment you want to be calm and relaxed.
You don't want to be
Yeah.
calm and relaxed that moment. So
Now,
you can't mess up your sex life.
we've got a little circle panel here, and it says little wings. People are not going to know what that is, but it's just a special treatment that people are taught to do. Don't worry about it, folks. But you won't understand it, so I don't want it to derail you. It means just a special kind of treatment that fits into this context. So explain the picture on the right, John. That's what that carries most of the information.
So what we've found is by applying a pad or a Y electrode right on the vagus nerve, which
Y is that one with 2 little balls on it.
That's right. Yeah.
You put on your neck like that. Yeah.
Put it right on your neck.
Have you got one handy? Can you reach one where you are?
I can go and get one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. It'd be good to show it actually. Well, John, keep talking while Laurie pops off. But
yeah. So what we've done is we found different pads as well that you can place on the vagus nerve, and it doesn't take a lot of stimulation. I mean, we do 3 minutes stimulation on the left side, and we get all of the results discounted. Whether you've got migraine headache or not, that sort of thing, that we know in neurofeedback. Migraine headache, for example, more than 70% of all migraines are caused by stress. So if you take the stress down, then the migraine will go away.
Right.
So there are many instances where stress is really one of the causal factors behind many problems.
Yeah. Well, stress, whenever it raises its ugly head. We might have to come back to this. I don't know. Laurie's obviously having a bit of trouble finding it.
Yeah.
There you go. There we go, sweetheart. Okay. Well, you show that one of you on your neck. It's connected to the device by a cable.
Bring your neck in here.
Yeah.
It'd be placed right at this position over here.
Right where the vagus nerve is.
Yeah, the carotid will be in the front over here, and I'll be behind the carotid and pushing towards it.
Yeah. Okay. So hold it nearer the camera. We did see it, but yeah, I meant that we can't stick Laurie right next to the camera. But put the wand near the camera.
Put the wand.
Yeah. So can you see? It's just two little metal balls. Each one is an electrode, and current goes in one and comes out the other, and that will stimulate the vagus.
These are made of surgical steel. This is a good product.
But you could use those pads.
Yeah.
All these things have a kit that comes with them. All right, so what can we do? Let's spend a minute really on all the good things that can be achieved. We want to talk particularly about the grown-up version, as it were, the Sport Pro, and that's got all these different programs in it, including brainwave frequencies. You can do alpha, gamma, theta.
You can do delta as well, which is
delta.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're changing brain waves, as we just said. It's like dialing up the brain and saying, "Hello, I've got something for you." You can produce these kind of effects. I mean, sleep is, I consider, very important. Practically the #1 healing modality of all.
We're finding that more and more, and we're even talking about dementia, Alzheimer's disease. We talk about the amyloid plaque and Payer's badge and so on and so forth. We're seeing different causal factors now. We thought it was amyloid plaque was causing Alzheimer's in people.
Yeah, we don't think that anymore. There is amyloid plaque, but it's not the cause.
Tau patches, I'm sorry, TAO patches, there's the other one.
Yeah,
and
proteins.
They're finding them, but they're also finding it in healthy people. So,
yeah.
But they're finding an awful lot more in Alzheimer's patients, which means that somehow the glial cells that make up the brain are not they're not sweeping up the brain at night during that deep sleep process.
Yeah.
So deep sleep is essential to moving out the
garbage.
The garbage.
Yeah, it's the trash can visit from from your white cells. Depression, you know, everyone today, I think doctors know that most of the problem with depression is actually inflammation. If you have inflammation, you're going to get depressed. If you're depressed, you're going to have systemic, you know, body-wide inflammation. So that's a pretty important one, isn't it? What about PTSD? How helpful is it?
Post-traumatic stress disorder, there's ongoing research right now in the USA, and it's FDA cleared for using what they call a gamma frequency on the trigeminal nerve, which is presented right here above the eyebrows.
Right.
And this affects mostly the prefrontal cortex of the brain. And the prefrontal cortex is the CEO, chief executive officer of your whole brain. So this is where you want to be working.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're finding is that after, I don't know how many sessions, I know we've done an in-house, and we'll show you the statistics that we got. Stimulating the trigeminal nervous system is having great benefits on not only PTSD, but on ADD, ADHD, and drug-resistant anxiety or depression. It's a great program, and totally FDA cleared now for that.
Yeah, well, that's great news. Of course, it's difficult to convince the FDA.
Yeah.
Listen, folks, we've been coming up to the hour now. I think we've been going a while. We've just got a handful of slides left. I hope you can bear with us. For those of you who came late, we will be moving into a very intense question and answer period. Last time it lasted about an hour and a half. We try and field all the questions, and we have the patience if you have the patience. And don't forget, if you stay till the end, we're going to tell you something of value that you can get for yourself. Everyone who's here can have at least one.
My question.
So we'll tell you what it is, but we need to get moving then. So alpha, well, feed alpha, everybody knows, is that sort of calming, semi-introverted, relaxed state. The silver mind control method was about that, wasn't it? That's what I've forgotten his name, but anyway, Silva was Jose Silva taught people how to do. Really valuable. So you just clip them on your ears and switch to the alpha setting.
Yeah, this is cleared, definitely cleared in Europe and in certain other countries. What they call transcranial neurostimulation from ear to ear. Cleared in most of the European states now, or countries. And it's one way to be able to get the brain into an alpha state. And alpha, of course, eats, sleep, digest, stimulate, and assimilate, and also repair. So everything seems to be about getting into that alpha state.
Right, and vagus nerve stimulation is one way, not the only way. You can put the alpha signal through your cranium by using the device. I'm talking. Will the home device, the Evolution, do this, or are we talking only the Sport Pro?
What we did, the home device actually has the alpha and gamma frequencies both in it.
Oh, good. Okay, so it's a very handy little brute then, that one.
Yes, isn't it?
Okay, so gamma just means fast, folks. I mean, just in a nutshell, delta waves are sleep, theta waves are dreaming and trance. Alpha, as we've just been hearing, is nice and calm, relaxed, introverted. Beta is where we live. That's the sort of awake state, and there's low beta and high beta. High beta, the person's getting a bit jumpy and a bit twitchy, yeah? But gamma's extraordinary because it's almost double the range of gamma frequencies, and yet the person isn't hyper at all. They feel good. It's like Buddhist meditation states. The person is in great shape when they can have gamma brain waves, but we can put the waves, the frequencies in deliberately. That's the great thing. Connect the person up and slam them with gamma, or alpha, or whatever you're trying to do. Yeah. So these figures on the right here. The result. These are yours, The result of your.
These are in house. What we did is we have a section of people that follow us on our own sites. How many do we have now? We have hundreds of them.
I don't know how many there are.
700, 800.
Yeah.
And what we did is
They're our guinea pigs.
they became our guinea pigs. We said, here's what we want to do. And they reported back to us after, was it 30 days or so. So in anxiety, we had 95% improvement, depression, 85%, 75% improvement in PTSD, which is huge.
That is huge.
That is huge.
I mean, orthodox medicine can't come anywhere near this kind of response. You know, if they get a pill that gives an extra 5% sleep, they can sell it as a sleep remedy. It's a sleeping pill. It works. It works. It was 5% more people went to sleep. It's a joke, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, and ADHD, that's the kids, yeah.
Yeah, the kids. I mean, we don't. The last thing we want to put kids on is Ritalin. You know, the military, for example. I mean, it might be a good side and a bad side, but if you Coast Guard, military, if you've ever been on Ritalin any time in your childhood, you are
exempt.
You're exempt.
Yeah, banned more than exempt.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay, just run us through the little picture on the right. That's actually applying the treatment, is it? I mean, it's one way of applying the treatment. This is to the trigeminal nerve, yeah.
Yeah,
Which runs up. I mean, there's three parts. There's
that's right.
cheek and face. There's round the jaw, and then there's another one that goes upwards into the scalp. So that's the one you're going to hit, yeah. And it will feed the signal back into the brain. Am I right, John?
That's right, through the prefrontal cortex, and that's what has been FDA cleared for PTSD now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's like using the back door to get into the brain and get somebody's attention there in the brain. Now, we've mentioned scar a few times. This is the back of the lady's shoulder, yeah?
Yes, it is, and it hardly takes any time at all. What you want to do is you want to get the right resonance. You want to get the right frequency, and the frequency, what we did in both devices, we put the right frequency that has the right resonance value that will actually break the bonds and flatten that scar. And when you break those bonds emotionally, the person that touches a scar, for example, before we started treatment, and then they touch the scar after the treatment, they say, oh my God, that has changed. It's so soft. It has flattened out. And in their mind, emotionally, they're also letting go of that moment that it was created because there's a change.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good point to say something, actually, because I know a lot of people are going to want one of these amazing devices, probably a lot of people, but you've said quite a few technical things, you know, techniques, and you have to do this and then do that. These come with a free training program. Yeah, you do, is it a couple of months or 3 months of
at least, 2
backup
months.
training? So anyone who wants to learn to use this, they can have your skill and expertise, which is now 20 years with, more than 20 years with skill and knowledge of doing these things. You've got books that will tell people what to do, but you've also got videos and training, and so there's no need to fear that, oh gosh, that sounds a bit technical. You take them step by step through switching it on, changing programs, where to put it on the body. It's all in there in the training. Yeah,
it's all in the training. It's all on video. It's all online.
The training is really simple. It's step by step.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to reassure folks with that point. Oh yeah, you mentioned the 4,000 diseases before, didn't you?
Yes, we did.
What's this one on the right here? What the hell is PFFLI? Is it Piffle? Oh, sorry. That last one is an I love myavatia. What's PFFL? What are they?
Where's what? I can't read on this.
I'm looking at the circular panel.
Yeah, we've got you're over top of it with the video.
Yeah, so it's actually let's see if I can move that.
That's
yeah, here we go. Yeah, here we go.
Oh, pain-free for life.
Pain-free for life. Yeah. And it's a testament.
Oh yeah, okay. That's your thing.
Yeah. So it's just saying our group. People love our group.
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right. And again, we're making this point. You can deal with inflammation. You can shut it off magically. You will, if you get one of these devices, you will be shown how to do it, and shown by the world, what I consider the world's best. So there's really little or no argument about the fact that you guys are the tops, right? Okay. So, what fMRSI? What does that mean? And what are we going to do with that?
It's a program that we have in both of our devices that we're offering up. And RSI actually has been found, we have found that it is a way to be able to help repair everything from carpal tunnel to tennis elbows to knees and knees, believe it or not, we have found a way to be able to help knees a lot by working on the back of the knee and increasing blood flow to the knee itself. Cutting down the inflammation permits the synovial fluid to rebuild, to recreate itself. And it's the RSI is just an extraordinary program for that.
That stands for repetitive strain injury,
It
yes?
does stand
And
for,
FM, does that stand for frequency modulation?
it
Yes, it
does.
does.
Yeah, okay, good. I guessed right this time. Now, have you got I mean, can we suggest to people that you might not need a knee replacement, or if you do, you can put it off for years by using one of these,
Oh,
devices, yeah?
Yeah, a lot, so many people, and even the rheumatologists now, a lot of people that are in the professional medical field are starting to work with these, and they're finding that if they do have to operate, it makes them look a lot better because people I'd say they improve a lot faster using this even post surgically.
Okay. All right, now I think we've been going a bit slow, folks, so I'm going to try and speed it up for the sake of those that might have to leave. But you can use it to stimulate acupuncture meridians, yeah? You stick it on
Absolutely.
certain acupuncture points like your colon 4 and your lung 6 and so on. You just you couldn't stick the whole device on it, but you have a little probe, don't you, which can
Yeah,
look
we have point probe.
Yeah, we have
Point probe
point,
as
but a
well.
lot of people use the Y still, or a pad, a conductive pad.
yeah.
Yeah.
And people who know the acupuncture model and the meridian model, they found this a very useful way of stimulating it. Yeah, I mean, it seems
Yeah.
to me a lot less barbaric than sticking a needle in, right through the skin into the person's body. This seems a much nicer idea, just to tweak it. Anyway, you can do that. Yes, so if you're a practitioner, you understand the meridian model, this is a great, easy, relaxing way to do it. And of course, you can do many other things with it. You're not confined as you are in acupuncture. All you can do is stick needles in. Otherwise, you need to switch modalities. But with this, you can put it in one mode and stimulate meridians, put it in another mode and reduce inflammation, put it in another mode and give the person brain alpha. You can ring the changes, yeah? Okay, so I mean, we're back to the brain in a way. We were talking about this onboard pharmacy, weren't we? That you dial up the brain knows what to do. The body can make all of these chemicals, and then none of them are addictive, none of them have got side effects. They're natural chemicals that belong in our bodies. So it's a marvelous way to do these things. Anything else you want to say on that? As I said, I'm trying to speed up a little bit now because.
That's good, isn't
No,
it?
that's good.
Yeah.
I think that more and more, a lot of people that are on tonight probably understand the correlation between the brain's capacity for healing. We have a great capacity; it's a built-in capacity for healing. And sometimes we have to go to the brain and we have to solicit its help.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on. So we want to talk particularly, we're going to talk about the home device, which is called the Evolution. You see there at the end of the first paragraph. But we're going to talk particularly about the Sport Pro. We did a full webinar on the Evolution last time. The Sport Pro is hugely more powerful and specced up, I suppose motor car people would say. It's got all the full specs. Tell us some of why this would be a much better choice for a professional person. Just some of the
We're
things.
talking about we talk about 8 programs in this one, or 8 algorithms. And in this one, we have over 50 pre-programmed algorithms. So the difference between 8 and 50. Of course, we have all of the chakra programs. We have the acupuncture. We have the facials are all built into this one. Body sculpting is in this one. What else? My gosh, we have
PG, Pain Gate.
the pain gate programs. We have programs for peripheral neuropathy. We have this thing will do.
You name it, it's in here.
A hospital in a box.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you about one of the cases I did, but it was a lady she was kind of wrecked neurologically. She was twitching and shaking. She was a professional writer, but had to give up. She couldn't lecture or write or do anything. She was in a sad state. And all I could think of doing, from taking her story, was to stimulate the solar plexus. And so I, switched it on with that chakra forgotten what it's called, the middle one here, and just lay it on her
Solar
belly for
plexus,
about
yeah.
20 minutes. I have never seen such an incredible transformation in a person. She was twitching really badly like this, you know, and all of a sudden it was calm. She was making slow flowing. She couldn't believe it. And she bought one of these next day. Of course, you know, it's the only thing that had ever helped her in recent years. It's amazing what you can do with simple things like just tuning into chakras or tuning into certain meridians, you know.
When you
Amazing.
have them, and we do guide you in the use of all. So it might sound complicated. It's got 50 algorithms, but we bring it down to
We'll
the
break it
simple,
down one by one.
Yeah, well, no, if you remember each of the chakras, how many chakras are there? So that's a whole bunch
7
of
chakras, but
7 altogether.
some would say 8.
If you use the meridians, there are how many? Well, how many in traditional Chinese medicine?
Well, 12,
I
12
know
traces paired.
I
Yeah,
know the electroacupuncture ones, and they've
yeah,
got
yeah.
2 for each digit. But the classic ones,
The classic ones are 12. There's
yeah.
12
All right,
every.
so we're up to 19 anyway, just using those 2 different techniques. So don't be scared, folks. Now, explain this. To me, this is the most exciting part of the Sport Pro device, what we call diagnosis. If you look at the picture on the left, you can see there's a little screen on the device with some numbers. Don't worry about the numbers, but it's going to tell us something. John will explain how we use that feedback to decide what's going on.
Feedback is extremely powerful because what it does really is that when I put it on my skin and I put it on a program, I'll bring up the power, and these numbers will pop up on the screen telling me if there's inflammation, if there's what level of inflammation there is, or if there's any degeneration and the levels of generation as well. So when you're using this and you're using what we call the program for reactions, they've changed the name from diagnostics to reactions because the medical field don't really like
Diagnosis.
Diagnosis is kept for them.
Yeah.
So you're able to know. It'll tell you when the brain has been contacted. It'll even tell you when the brain has accepted treatment. It'll tell you how well you're doing, how much resistance there is to change. It'll tell you when the change is going forward. All of this on this little screen. So the information is looping through the body, through the central nervous system, back to your device in what the NIH called closed loop neuromodulation.
Right. Fantastic. I mean, it really is. And one thing you've forgotten to mention, but I know, I mean, that's what I wrote about in my book, Virtual Medicine, 20 years ago. But it'll tell you where to work, won't it?
It
You
does.
kind of hunt around. And let's say you've got a stiff neck. I mean, you know, a chiropractor is going to want to work on your neck. That's what they do. But you might find by hopping around with this device set in diagnostic mode, it gives a real loud signal, ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling, here. And what it's saying is, no, this is the origin of the problem. The person's shoulder discomfort is dragging the trapezius or whatever, or the deltoid, and
Yeah.
that's where you should work. And I think that is fabulous too. Those 2 amazing things just totally transform all of medicine, because you know, if you just go for the obvious things, it's great, but if you go for the real underlying seat of the trouble, and it's often not in the same place, is it? You know, where you're feeling the pain may not be where the pain's coming from. Now, in Germany, they used to do something called, well, they still do, called neural therapy. I don't want to go into that, but basically it means injecting the bad spots. And so they end up injecting things like the back of your throat and your tonsils, and gives me the willies. But this device will do it for you, basically, without, you know, puncturing the skin or sticking a needle in or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so
If I rolled an ankle, if I'm playing basketball, or one of my daughter, for example, lately, if what we do is we'll find an area of pain will be at point A, but we might find that by the readings, you see the readings A, B, and C down here.
yeah,
You might give me a reading of 52 up above, while A might give me a reading of 39. So instead, the device is telling me, don't go to where it hurts, go above.
So the
yeah,
damage has been done
that's
above.
referring to the little picture on the left. You can see the B,
That's right.
A, and C spots. And it's really, as I said, that's one of the most powerful things about these devices that I absolutely love. Okay, moving on then. So specialists, do we need to spend a lot of, no, not a lot
Not
of time.
Not a
really.
whole
There's
lot of
just
time.
programs within the device, just extra programs that are really useful,
Yeah.
but we can explain those on the training.
So
Yeah.
PG 2500, is that a setting? You know, you call up to PG
Yeah, it's
2500.
setting on your device, and when you're dealing with severe pain, and somebody is running or doing sports and they collapsed, and this is the one that you want to use to get them back off the track.
Right. Okay. You probably don't need that in the webinar. Just folks should know that there's some amazing stuff, and that there are these treating, these teaching videos. Now, I want you to be quick with this because we are overshooting our welcome, John. I think we need to get on to the questions. But this is a therapy, isn't it, that's available elsewhere, but you can do it with our little device. You know, once you've got one, you can do it as often as you want for free, whereas it's extremely expensive if you do the other way. But what is it? What are we seeing here on the right?
Well, a lot is being written now that the cranial nerves can actually be reached by stimulating the tongue.
Ah,
And the tongue has nerves that carry information up to what we call the pons. In French, it's a word meaning the bridge, and it's a bridge to the cranial nerves. And what they're doing is they're doing traumatic brain injuries, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, simply by treating the tongue and getting the person to do certain movements. So what you want to do is you want to re-entrain the person back into. It's almost like being when we're born. When we're born, all the way through our lives, we have built recognition of certain frequencies. For example, our hearing, in our taste, in our touch. All of these things took us time to build. And it's like FM on a frequency on the radio. You know that FM 96.3 is where I get my nicest music. But if I go off of that station, all I get is white noise. So the idea is to train you back into that perfect music area. And by repeating movements while you're doing the treatment, we're able to get that balance back. We're able to get that your voice back, or get the signal back into normal.
right. Now, this is proven. Yeah, I mean, there are papers published on what we're talking about.
Well,
We don't need to.
before Health Canada approved this treatment, they had come in with double studies of all kinds on how the ponds work. So it's an accepted modality in Canada and other countries, but not in the US.
No, it's a bit unfortunate in the US. And here's probably a good point to say, you know, you can get these devices. We'll show you how to do that. Get one that suits you. It's very easy for if you're Canadian or anywhere else in the world. If you live in the USA, these are FDA approved for certain functions. The FDA is not going to know if you do other functions, but that's not what I want to say, really. What I want to say is that you have to have a prescription note from your doctor, unless you do it through us. You know, if you come to me and say, I want one of these, I can arrange it for you. So just an important little technical point. All right, we did chakras. I think that's the point. You just stimulate different chakras, and people who are experts in that will know what the different chakras do, you know, the base chakra and the heart chakra and so on. But we can do cosmetics. Now, we've done a whole webinar on this in the past, well, twice actually. We can probably look those up. But the devices, the two devices we're talking about, yeah, you can do cosmetics on the Evolution. Only on the Sport Pro. Okay, if you've got the Sport Pro, you can set up shop as an aesthetologist or whatever they're called, and you can fix people's wrinkles without a knife, without Botox. I mean, this is the kindest sort of, you know, wrinkle elimination things you can do by toning up the muscles using natural communication lines, as you've heard John talking about. And it is good, isn't it? I mean, every time I like to tell the story of the guys, they wouldn't let him through immigration because he didn't look anything like his passport after a week of treatment with this thing. He looked like somebody else. That's how good it was. So we'll just throw that in. You can do, and again, are there some videos or training on this if somebody wants to learn to do this as well?
We have a whole program on cosmetics.
So, you know, if you're a lady and you're a chiro, it'd be great to have one for your chiro practice, but you can also use it on yourself at home at night and blow a few wrinkles. That's really good. Body toning or body sculpting, we might call it. We can do that, can't we? We can.
Yes, we can. Yeah.
You can go in the gym and work out for hours, or you can put some pads on and sit back and watch TV. Which would you rather?
Yeah, one of the most remarkable applications that I remember doing was a lady that complained she had, her son was now 20 years old, but she had what she called a gully down the center where the muscles they had stretched out,
Mm-hmm.
and she no longer had that core strength that she had previous to the child giving birth. So what we did is we used the device and used the body sculpting program, and you put a pad above the navel and one just abutted to it, and one on each side on the outside, and we were able to erase that gully with only 2 treatments.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
yeah, for all the women listening, I mean, this is the way to do it.
Yeah, you just reminded me in the other shows, you know, but it's worth mentioning we can straighten up crooked spines and all kinds of things.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so the Sport Pro, I mean, it can do a lot of things. There are different frequencies for different things. You'll learn how to do this. There are videos, there's guidebooks. It's all a no-brainer. It's not as complicated as it sounds. We're trying to enrich you with a fantastic range of things you can do. We're not trying to make it complicated, right? But, you know, you can, sports, I mean, one of the important things that the FDA approved this for is sports injuries, yeah? Because people are also, you know, snapping tendons and breaking their ankles.
All forms of pain actually is what it's cleared for.
Yeah, yeah, okay, good, excellent. And improve sleep. Now, I think we mentioned that once, but there are different ways to do that, and a sleep protocol is included in the home device, the Evolution. Yes, I can see that. Delta brainwave frequency, that's asleep. But again, the better one of the two, the big brother, the Sport Pro, is just fabulous at delivering this. Oh yeah, you know, I mentioned this. It's here anyway now. I'd forgotten then. But there are, you know, we're talking to people who want probably to get some of these devices. I think a lot of people would, having heard what it can do. But you, as you said, you're throwing it. Well, you talk us through the slide. This is a sample sheet on the left, isn't it?
Yes.
So talk us
the
through
page of one of the books that comes with this device here.
Yeah.
But we do have, carry on, we have free training on both.
Well, we have 2 months of free training that we're offering on both of these devices, so that people can tune in and they can get the video. They can download the videos. They can they can see them as often as they want. They can see them forever if they want, until they understand how it works.
But they can see it. They can constantly see it. And the thing is, they can keep going back to it every time they think, oh, what was I supposed to do here? They just log back on, take a look, and they can get it. And they don't have to do it straight away. That's been one, people feel that they need to do it as soon as they get their devices. They don't. They could wait a month. They're still going to get their 2 free months.
So there's no rush. This will be taken down soon, you know.
Yeah, no, it's going to be there.
Yeah, good. And what was I going to say? Oh yes, I mean, I know you two. You're very sweet. So if somebody's stalker has a question, you'll accept direct questions. It's not. You're not hiding behind the videos.
No.
If somebody has a sincere question, they just email you, or if they're lucky,
we'll just answer. Yeah, no
I
problem.
know you like that. Okay, so we're going to talk about 2 kits. This is what is on offer. If you want one of these, the simplest home device. We did a whole webinar on this one last time. Talk us through what is called the Evolution, the Avacia Evolution, or Avacia Life Evolution, and it's a couple of grand, as you can see, which is pretty damn moderate for what it's. In fact, it's ridiculously cheap for what it does. Talk us through it, folks. What would a person get if they opted for this model? If they say they're not a professional doctor or osteopath.
Of course, you're going to get the device. And you get a kit or a bag that it goes in, and you'll also get the point probe. You get the Y probe, this one that we showed you a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
You get all of the leads, and you also get some sticky pads that you can work with.
You get the ear clips.
You get the ear clips so that you can do that kind of treatment. You get the pads for treatment trigeminal. You also get
those are the curvy ones, the ones that go on the forehead there, those curvy white ones, And the comb thing, I mean, I haven't got any hair, so it wouldn't matter to me. If you've got a thick mop of hair, you can get through the hair to the skin or the scalp
Or
And so, of
use it
course,
for your animals.
I was going to say animals would be good, wouldn't they? Because you can get
Yeah.
through their fur. Yeah, all right. So what can it do? Goes box on the left, please. Why would a person who's caring and interested in health and wants to
Okay.
learn more and
Now
grow?
we talked a lot about inflammation. So you have the anti-inflammatory programs that are built into this. We've talked a lot about vagus nerve stimulation and about inflammation. You can do that with this as well. We've talked about gamma and how you can stimulate certain areas to get to the cranial nerve set by stimulating the trigeminal nerve. You can do it with this device.
Mm.
You can clear scar tissue in it as well.
Well, let's be clear. The scar won't necessarily vanish. It'll be a lot less visible and a lot less trouble, but it won't necessarily disappear, will it?
Well, there are
But
three
instead of being
elements.
a hard band across your body, it softens and it's
Yeah.
much easier.
It'll discharge the capacitor, if you will, by
Yeah.
it'll release the electrical buildup on the scar.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So the next one, this is the big brother. This is the one that we've most wanted to make known. It does everything and some. It's got 50 odd different algorithms. It is really the fulfillment of something I wrote about in the 1990s, this Star Trek medicine. It can do just so much stuff. It's the sort of complete kit, a complete device for a professional person. So again, talk us through. It's more expensive, as you can see, but compared to some of the, I mean, if you go and buy yourself a Mora machine or a Bicom, it's going to cost you $30,000 or $40,000. And here's a thing for under $5,000 that can do even more. Actually, I mean, differently. You can't actually compare them. But the point is, you can set yourself up as a professional practitioner and earn the $4,000 back very quickly, let's put it that way, for way less than $5,000. And we're going to make both of these sales attractive shortly. But just talk us through this one. Why is this one the better device? We've hinted at it all the way through.
Well, if you're into the chakra system and the emotional part of the body that drives everything else, it'll do all of the chakras, and it'll do them individually, and it'll even do a step chakra program. If you're looking at peripheral neuropathy, diabetes is a big deal in America these days, and so is peripheral neuropathy and loss of feeling down the legs. It has a program to be able to treat that.
It has all the meridians.
It has all of the meridians so that you're able to treat all of these meridians that are involved in communicating information to the brain, central nervous system, and back to the body. It has the body toning. It has the cosmetology. It has, you can even go into it and program your own frequencies in there.
Oh, so you can set up a little mini program that you find works.
Absolutely, and it has the capability of being able to tell you and guide you where it is that you should be treating as well. Right. This is the big guy. Nothing in the world comes close to this. No. This is as far as technology has taken us.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Now, I mean, I have a slightly older demographic audience on the whole. We're all boomers that want to go on partying forever. Prostate enlargement can be an issue for the guys. I happen to know, going back 20 years, that this is great for benign prostatic hypertrophy.
And, we're talking about inflammation. We've come up with protocols for prostatitis, for benign prostatic hypertrophy, BPH, that sort of thing. We've set up. I've written the book with all of the programs, the protocols on how to treat everything from A to Z.
Can you show us it? Have you got it there?
We don't have one with us.
Okay, don't worry. Caught with your pants down again. Now listen, folks, if you want one of these and there's any issue, you can't just dip into your purse right now and put your hands. Don't worry, you can use PayPal to come and get one of these, and then you just pay PayPal over over several months. It's a very simple system. If you want to do that, or if finance is an issue, we'll show you how to do that. Okay, so now the good stuff. I told you, I promised you at the end there'd be some super amazing bonuses. So I'm going to tell you about them now, and then we'll get on with questions. Okay, so the Avacia Evolution, the kit that's just under 2,000. You're going to be given, what are they going to be given, guys? I can't, oh yes, the back and neck wraps. So that's things for treating the neck and on your back. you're going to throw those in free, and that's $169 value. Yeah, so it's kind of a saving, or an extra bonus anyway. Now, let me tell you, for the bonuses tonight, you need to go and purchase one of these tonight. Now, we're going to start questions in a minute, and we'll be at least an hour, probably an hour and a half at those. Plenty of time for you to go over there. We'll tell you where to go and get yourself one of these. And by doing so, you'll absolutely nail the bonuses. That's what they're for. They're to encourage and reward you for just taking the bold step now. If you want the professional device, the Sport Pro 3, you're going to get a Sana health blanket. That's a sort of, well, tell us what it is. It's EMF protection and things.
It's fundamentally the Russian healing blanket, and the Russian healing blanket is not something that you plug into the wall. It actually has fibers and material inside of it that actually rebuild your body, if you will. It's almost like, we know that there is a law in electricity that says if I send electricity or current down, or electrons down the conductor perpendicular to the passage of electricity down this wire, I'll have an electromagnetic field of equal strength that would be built on this passage. Mm-hmm. Now, we have nerves that also conduct electrons from the brain all the way down to our heel. If we look at the sciatic nerve, and perpendicular to its passage, we're also creating an electromagnetic field that leaves our own body. Now, if we were to capture that and we could actually refeed it into the body, the idea is, I think Hache was the one who first came out with that idea years and years ago, that we can actually fill in those holes, we can fill in those gaps that are starting to build, so that we can rebuild our own body, our own system.
So reflecting the good stuff back into your body.
Exactly.
Basically what it's doing. Okay, and that retails, I've got one, by the way. It's on my bed right now, folks. I wouldn't be without it. It's $700, $695, but you get that thrown in. So that's a pretty good incentive, I think, if you're thinking of getting the posh kit, the professional kit. Now, there's a code. We're going to tell you, well, in fact, you can see at the top where to go to. It's www.thesanashop.com. Write that down or type it in, /KSM. Well, that's me, of course, but it's capital. After the .com, it's case sensitive. So you've got to type in capital KSM. And you'll be taken there to a page where these things are arranged for you. You can make your choices by typing in the code Dr. Keith. Look at, can you see that at the bottom? Bottom right, it says Dr. Keith, DRKEITH. That will enable you to take advantage of these, really, I think, fantastic bonuses, basically. As I said, you need to get over there now and make your choice, nail it, because the bonuses are only for those who actually came here, and the people that buy tonight. That's what we want. And in going over there, you're going to bump into young Rob, whose picture you saw earlier on. He'll be fielding questions. Is it a sort of chat question thing?
Yeah, it's a live chat.
A live chat, yeah, exactly. So you type in your questions and he'll type in the answers to you. A great service, and last time we had him at well past midnight. It was 2 or 3 in the morning. He was still dealing with live chat because everyone was electrified by the amazingness of what these things do, and honestly, what I think are ridiculously cheap prices when you think what you're getting. It is amazing. For clarity, folks, these are shipped from Canada, so they're under Canada law. There's nothing to stop you buying one of these. There are no USA laws that prevent you buying and having one of these. If you want to do it yourself, you'd have to get a doctor's prescription, and in any case, you couldn't get the evolution, not allowed. So I would suggest you do it this way, because you're going to get your bonuses, and you're also going to hitch up with a couple of great guys that you've been listening to. They know their onions, as we used to say in Britain. Anyway, for those of you who are maybe not even want to do that, here's a wonderful bonus that everybody can have. This is whether you buy a device or not. Now, the URL to go and download yourself this book, it's a free book, From Pain Free for Life, and it's Solutions to Autoimmune Diseases. Look at the URL at the bottom under the book. It's slightly different. It's thehacheprotocol.com/KSM. thehacheprotocol.com/KSM. Everyone can have that. But what I'm going to do now is put up the link to go get the devices, and I'm going to leave that up while we now deal with questions, There's some chat and there's some Q&A questions. I'm just going to feed them to you guys one by one, and just, you know, just do what you do. You do so wonderfully well and always do. First of all, let me take the Q&As. You guys have put up a chat. I will get to you. And, oh, what did I just do? Oh, crummy. That wasn't supposed to happen. What did I do? Oh, I know, I must have hit the screen. Okay, so I'll leave my Q&A panel over here, otherwise I run the risk of hitting that screen. All right, George. Oh, that's no problem with the sound. So yeah, Rowan Consulting being recorded for replay. Yes, it is. Kishni Pereira just joined in on the other side of the world. India, I'm guessing. Is it Kishna? Anyway, will this broadcast be recorded and shared with us later? Yes, it will, Kishni. Is this different from my Dove Scanar that I have? Bill Harner. So I won't give surnames, so a little bit of privacy. But Bill is asking, is this any different or the same as a Dove Scanar? Scanar was the original Russian device, of course. I had one, you had one.
Yeah.
Very different.
The Irina Kosovskaya device. It is a lot more complex in the fact that we have added the neurophysiology programs, and it also has the capacity to be able to dose and to zero, which I don't know if the Dove had it or not. I don't remember.
No, I was going to say, don't be dosing and zeroing. People don't know what that means.
It means being signaled when the brain has been contacted, and being signaled when the brain accepts treatment.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know what the Dove is. Is it as sophisticated as the 97?
Not really.
It's more of a home. I think it was more of a
It's a home device that is very flimsy. It's very small.
Yeah.
It was a device that was produced by a company out of Russia for a lady by the name of Irina Kosovskaya.
Oh, yeah, I know Irina. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know of her. Okay, so the answer is not really, Bill. What's on offer here is very, very much better. I mean, we've got 20 years of progress now, and the build quality of these devices, these are made in the USA, so it's totally different to Russian build quality, which, if I can use non-medical terminology, is fairly crap, to be honest. They're not robust, are they? Whereas the Avatsiya, I think, is extremely robust, very well made. All right, so anonymous person is asking, well, this person, whether it's a he or a she, oh gosh, I've got 3 questions from this, but let me quick. Will it help the pain of sickle cell disease? I'm not sure we've got an answer for that. We don't know, do we? Do you know? Have you tried one?
No, it will, a lot of disease, a lot of pain is caused by pressure on nerve plexus, and it's caused by inflammation. So inflammation is always in the background somewhere.
Right. Well, I mean, the pain of sickle cell is caused by obstruction of blood flow, isn't it? So you get anoxia and pain. Perhaps too tricky, that one, sweetheart. Whoever you, well, I'm saying sweetheart, it might be a man. Anonymous attendee. So another anonymous attendee. Will this help with my pain and poor flexion following a knee replacement and follow up to knee surgery? I think this is going to be an easy yes, isn't it? The pain is in my foot, ankle, knee, leg, and hip for 27 months. Relief is on the way, my dear. And it affects a lot of her life, by the way, including poor sleep. I bet if you're having that lousy pain, I'm not surprised. Can we give her a resounding yes, do it? This is what you need.
Yeah, we've treated people with 35 years.
Oh.
Gotten better in 20 minutes, so yes, definitely.
Oh, the same. Well, if this is the same person, all right, she's already got herself an Avatsiya Life. I purchased an Avatsiya Life, which I understand is the one designed by John and Lorraine, yes. And then the current medical book. Okay, so you've got your set up, whoever anonymous person is. I'm not quite clear of any discerning question that is different. Been able to, I know. Scoliosis. Well, you can do the Avatsiya Life. Can you do a scoliosis treatment with that?
I would. Yes.
You've got your high frequency. You've got your 300 hertz, haven't you? So
yeah, definitely. It's got the 2 programs that we have in
here. It's the evolution.
Yes. Okay, my dear. Sir, if it's a sir, write in and we'll straighten that out for you.
Mostly with this one.
There is a little confusion and difficulty. But if whoever you are, you've got scoliosis, replacement knee and your foot, ankle, and hips, you're struggling. So you definitely need one of these and need to learn how to use it. Looking at the website states prescription. Well, this is Bill, and he's being smart here, Ali, because a lot of them are. They go Google off and see if they can buy it cheap. The Avatzia team quite rightly said, no, you don't do that. You go to the Haches, it's their device. But we, like I said, you don't need a prescription bill to buy from the Haches. It's from Canada. It's not even in my shopping cart this time. So just go ahead and get yourself one. The Avatzia team people are quite correct in saying if you buy in the USA, if you buy directly from them, you have to have a doctor's prescription. And you will pay exactly the same price. We are not undercutting anybody and we're not marking up.
More.
You pay more and you won't get the training and you won't get the freebies.
Yeah, okay, so it's straightforward. Just get it from us, and it's from the sanashop.com/KSM. Julie, can I watch again later? She's got to leave it. Well, she's gone then, so she won't hear my answer, but yes, it's going to be replayed later. What is MPS technology? Do we know that? Anonymous again is saying, are you familiar with the MPS technology for meridian and similar type healing, and how does this compare?
MPS, I'm not familiar with. I've only been around for 20 years. I don't know. I've never heard of that one.
No, we don't know, my dear. So type in what it is if you want us to know more. Janet saying, does this device just stop the pain signal, or does it help your body heal? Oh, my dear, you've not been listening, I don't think. That's exactly what we're saying. It doesn't just block the pain. It initiates the process of inflammation healing, and it's inflammation that causes the pain. The answer is yes. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong with some of these quick ones.
No, we're looking at causal factor and reversal.
And resolution.
Yeah, we're talking resolution. We're not talking masking the pain. We criticized that approach early on, that it just doesn't block the deterioration. Healing is the way to stop deterioration. Is there a protocol for Parkinson's and Alzheimer's? That's a good question. That's a damn good question.
Well, Alzheimer's we're starting to understand. We talked a little bit about dementia, Alzheimer's, and we talked about sleep, and sleep deprivation is actually one of the causes behind it all.
And I know gamma's, well, gamma light anyway, but gamma's been quite successful at clearing up amyloid plaques, hasn't it?
It has been. And
so we'd expect some benefit for that, but unless either you or I have treated an Alzheimer's.
As well, yeah.
Parkinson's, we do have some protocols for.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Okay, so it's already covered then. Is it, which of you, in one of your books, yes, or in one of the videos?
I know we put it in the book. I think we're talking more and more about it. I know that Laurie years ago treated a Parkinson patient that was.
We treated a few, and so we can help someone if they want. They just need to write to us separately, and we can give them protocols.
Right. Can microcurrent therapy help nerve deafness? That's another good question, actually.
Yeah, definitely, because nerves are cells, and we have a frequency specific to nerve regeneration has been identified in lab research.
Yeah. Okay. Listen, I've got a funny. Is this a question? Somebody's the Galaxy S10 Plus is a phone, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, there's somebody smart aleck here trying to advertise then. More of a comment. I have a PS3 and amazing healing. What on earth amazing healings can you do with a Galaxy smartphone? Am I missing something? Don't think so. Not even in the same class. Whoever this person is has not, remained. Ruby wants us to go over the diabetic protocol. There's no time for that, Ruby. We can't really go into detailed treatments on the call. There's too many people. There's still, over 200 people sitting on this call and wanting to move on. But it can be answered. So if you type in to, send an email to my clinic, which is the Scott-Mumby Wellness address, Vivian will pass it on to the Haches, and we can take it from there, right? Carla, this is lovely Carla K. I love this lady. She's, well, I better not say, it's not polite to say how old a lady is it? Anyway, she wants to know if there's someone nearby to receive a trial run. She's down in Kingman in the corner of Arizona, about 2 hours drive from
From Arizona.
from Las Vegas. So give it a bit of thought, and we'll get back to you, Carla.
Yeah.
Michael, I can use my evolution to help an animal with congestive cardiac failure. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually have.
Is it a quick answer to the protocol you would suggest?
Yeah, there's a protocol in our book called Current Medicine.
Yeah, okay. Christine, is the Sports Pro a Health Canada approved medical device?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yes, it's approved, Christine. And she said, do you need a letter from our doctor? No.
Yeah.
Only in the US you've got to have all that baloney. All right, Barbara, is this useful to improve hearing and or eyesight? Well, it depends on the cause of bad hearing and bad eyesight, but answer that one for us, please.
Yeah, definitely. We've it's kind of funny because somebody mentioned also tinnitus or tinnitus, and we found that by stimulating the cranial nerves, that their hearing got better, which is kind of strange. We have done eyesight. I've written a book on getting better eyesight.
Secrets of Eye Health.
The Secrets of Eye Health is what it's called.
Yeah.
And
how much is that then, John?
I think it's just
$9.95.
Oh, so very inexpensive. So what would they do? They would go to the sanashop.com, or would they
find it on there? Yes.
The sanashop.com.
All right, hunt around on the Sana shop, Barbara, and the answer is yes, it will. Does it cause you to detox? Well, not quite clear about the question, are you? Sometimes people who are very clumsy healers set off a whole chain of events and the person feels yucky, and they call this a detox or a healing crisis. I just think it's blundering myself.
Yeah, we also, in the training, we'll train you how to be able to circumvent that Herxheimer-like feeling of not feeling well, detox.
Yeah. I suspect that's what you mean. I mean, you're not going to clear mercury from the body with any normal protocol with these things, are you? Do you know any?
No.
I wouldn't think so. A guy called Mark has said, are there any contraindications? Good question. Anything you should not or must not use it for?
The contraindications are usual, like if you're in your first or second trimester of pregnancy, then
don't use the device.
Don't use the device then. The other one will be directly over a pacemaker. Definitely not. We don't want you to be doing that. Although
I've never had a problem doing it, and I've never had a problem working from the beginning of a pregnancy either. Yeah. But it's just rules and regulations.
Common sense for beginners. Just take it easy, go careful. Yeah. All right. Philip says, will this work on TGN? Do you know what TGN is?
If you give me the whole name,
no, I've given you it. He's only written 5 words. Will this work on TGN? I don't know what TGN is. Philip, if you're still there, please write in with what TGN is, because we can't figure it out. Americans and their abbreviations, drive me nuts. Jan, how long does it take for relief from neuropathy from ankle injury? Almost instant.
Yeah, not long. I've had somebody who I've treated not long ago, I think maybe 6 months ago, who had 5 years of really bad neuropathy. And were being followed by their neurologist. Neurologist kept telling him, yes, it's evolving the way we expected it. Getting worse. And 20 minutes later, she's standing, walking around with total feeling back in her lower leg. So it doesn't take that long.
No, that's what I said. It's almost instant. Andrea wants to know, and I said, this is good. She's saying, how do you add the code for the blanket? First of all, Andrea, be assured we will make sure that you get what you think you're going to get. Nobody's going to try and pip you or say, oh, you're too late. We're not like that. And if you're using PayPal, is it added in before or after? Well, I think you missed something, darling, which is the blanket is free. Yes. It's completely free with the Sport Pro, so it's not added in. But it will come to you if you order the Sport Pro kit. Joanne, will it help with amyloidosis and concussions or migraines? Yes, to the migraines.
This is where the tongue stimulation or the trigeminal stimulation will come in.
Yeah. Oh, no, here's a good question. Ginger, a lady, could presume, called Ginger. She's had it must be a lady. She's had a hysterectomy and has internal scarring tissue, of course, in her pelvis. That'll be a bit tricky to work on the scars, which is saying is very sensible. It's true. How does that work then? Can you do it on the exterior?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely.
It's always suggested in the protocols.
Yeah. Okay, no problem, Ginger. Okay, Michael is talking about Dr. Irena. It's important not to bathe for 4 hours. After 4 hours, do we don't do that, do we? Irena's got her own thing, but to me it's a bit cranky. You mustn't have a bath 4 hours before or 4 hours after.
So you don't remove your bodily,
Your body, the natural oils on your body, so on and so forth, to help carry the signal into the body a lot better.
Oh, okay. So Dr. Irena's right. Good old Irena. The answer is yes, then, Michael. It certainly, I mean, there's a difference between skin in its natural tone and greasiness and wet skin. It produces a completely different electrical contact. It's actually quite unpleasant when your skin's wet, isn't it?
Yes.
Jane, does the book, including A to Z types issued, include X? It just says X nutrient needs. Gosh, I have trouble understanding some of these questions. I'll read you exactly word for word. Does the book, including A to Z type issues, include X nutrient needs? Oh, do you think she's saying after a treatment, do you recommend some minerals and herbs and nutrients and things to help the process?
We actually we've written a book called the Hache Protocol, which includes nutrition, sleep, stress control.
Along with the protocol.
Along with all the protocols and so on and so forth.
We haven't quite published it yet, but the current medicine with all the protocols doesn't include what you would need nutritionally at this present time.
Yeah. Well, it's a bigger subject, isn't it? I mean, it's a whole new story.
Yeah.
All right, lady called Margaret. Can this be used for cancer healing, as I chose alternative TX? The alternative route, I presume, therapies, yeah?
Yeah.
I would have said RX, but anyway, I think she means therapies then. Are there any contraindications? Well, it's a tricky one, this, so you answer it, please.
When in cancer?
Yeah. I mean, using with these devices for cancer healing.
Yeah.
Without making things worse, of course.
Yeah, what we're looking at, we say stay away from any cancerous tumors because angiogenesis means increasing blood flow to the tumor itself.
And the device does that. That's one of its healing actions, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of its healing.
So don't work near a tumor. But however, you can stimulate the immune system.
Yes.
And get very good response that way. You know, you can use it on the thymus and a few things and get a killer immune system that'll go and clobber the cancer.
Yeah, the big thing here is when somebody is building cortisol because of stress, and I often say the diagnosis is second only to the disease itself. The stress that is caused by the disease and not being able to sleep and the anxiety that's being caused by it all, it creates an awful lot of cortisol, which diminishes your immune response.
Right.
Okay. So what we want to do is we want to get you back into that alpha state, bring down that cortisol level, increase your immune response, which is definitely one of the leading ways to get rid of this cancer.
Okay, so I think I'm going to recommend that she gets in touch and dialogues with you. Yeah, safer for her. All right, somebody's she's been to the Sana shop, but the Hache. So I presume I hope this lady's still here, but I presume she means this one for the Autoimmune Solutions book. The website here, if you want this, everybody's entitled to this. Just go there now. The hacheprotocol.com/KSM. I think that will answer your.
Hache is spelled Hache.
It should be up on the. It should be up there, John. We just can't see it because it's.
Oh no! I flipped the slide. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't. I hope that's not been a trouble all the way through. So that's. She was asking for that address. Willie, will it help diabetic myopathy and associated problems? Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Joanne, you mentioned scoliosis. What can it do for that exactly? I know we're talking about healing, not masking pain, but it can't heal a curvature, can it?
Yes.
It damn well can, Joanne. We've got some fantastic x-rays of a spine like this, ending up like this. Well, I'm not making a very good demonstration, but scoliosis will disappear completely in 20 minutes. And then because of weak muscles, it might sort of reappear in a couple of days. So you do it again, and what, 3 times at the most?
And then trainment, and we've done it in clinics. I've done it.
Yeah. 3 treatments at the most, Joanne. Trust me, it will really solid. We, we didn't try and do all the therapies tonight. We were going to talk about the device, but we do have some very good before and after x-rays. Eve is saying, does this also work on heart disease? That's too general a question, I think, Eve. Not sure what you mean. If somebody's had a coronary, a myocardial infarction with dead heart tissue, it isn't going to do much to reverse that.
We'd need to know what heart.
Yeah, because
so why don't you write in, reply to my emails about this, scottmumbywellness@gmail.com. So what they want to know about Jerry Tennant's biomodulator, which I made based on the scanner. Well, yeah, I mean, Jerry Tennant doesn't have anything unique. He's got the same devices. He just relabels them and charges more money, doesn't he? Am I right?
He has them made by the same factory, and yeah, they're
and his own label. But he charges, well, like the Sport Pro, he charges quite a lot more, doesn't he? It's over $4,000, over $5,000.
Yeah.
And you're not going to get free training and books and so on. So I wouldn't go to.
He doesn't have the evolution though.
And he doesn't. No, that's your unique development, isn't it? Are there any protocols for diabetes and stage 5 kidney disease?
Stage 5. That's pretty advanced.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm quite clear what all the damage is with a stage 5. What can we say? Well, I mean, diabetes definitely.
Diabetes definitely. Stage 5. At this point in his disease, I think what you need to do is you need to be working on these meridians, the kidney and bladder meridians, to get any kind of reprieve.
So hopeful. I mean, you're gonna have to do something, brother. Otherwise, stage 5 kidney, you're not long for us.
Dialysis and
suppressing inflammation and doing anything to help reverse that process can only do you good. But we can't translate that into how many extra years you're going to live, of course. But stage 5 is pretty serious. All right, so Anonymous has answered that question. What is MPS? It's microcurrent point stimulation, and that's from a device, I think, called a Dolphin NeuroStim.
Oh, that's the European one. That's out of England.
Yeah.
Or is it the one that's from Florida? Oh yeah, no, that's. I'm sorry. Now I understand. I've got it. It's actually an acupuncture point stimulator.
So this can do exactly the same plus much more.
But much more. I mean, you want to straighten out your anatomy with a dog.
Not even in the same league, are they? Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, I'm going to switch to chat because the questions are coming in, thick and fast, and I think it's only fair to give some of the chat people a chance. So let me open this. There are 22 chats. What's the difference between Dr. Tennant biomodulator? Well, I think we just covered that. It's the same, exactly the same. It's identical. He puts his own name on it and charges more money.
Yeah,
TGN is trigeminal neuralgia. I shouldn't have thought of that.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
trigeminal,
I think we've covered that. We've actually got trigeminal pads that are great for fixing the pain.
Yeah.
All right, Marianne's atypical Parkinsonism with pure akinesia and freezing of gait. Can this device help with these? I'll tell you what you should consider. I'm going to ask John in a minute, but if you can get glutathione injections, that will certainly help. That's David Perlmutter's work. I saw some amazing stuff, people frozen with Parkinson, couldn't get out the wheelchair, get up walking around in less than 5 minutes. It was amazing. What's your answer though with the devices, folks? Is it going to help?
Well, if you did both, I mean, why not? It's definitely a nutritional problem.
Right. Does this stop ringing in the ears? That's tinnitus. We said yes, didn't we?
Yeah, we've seen that.
There's some similar questions here. So Mark is asking the same one about stage 5 kidney. So this may not take so long then. Can this help unblocking the kidneys so that it can filter out stagnant lymph fluid? Yes, if you do it right. We've got kidney protocols, haven't we?
We do, yeah.
Pulling down inflammation in the kidneys. John, can it help do without glasses, short-sightedness?
But we're all wearing glasses at the moment, but we do have goggles to work on the eyes, and a lot of people have great success. So
yeah. Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you said that. I mean,
They're
I've
really
done all sorts of holistic ways of improving my eyesight, and they all work. But then I sit for another 8 hours at the computer on doing it all. So that's my ruin, is, you know, sitting at the computer. How do you spell Hache? Hache, Jacqueline. Hache. Marianne is desperate. She's down for total knee replacement and wonders, can it get her out of surgery? Well, there's a good chance.
It's an intriguing question. Somehow your brain knows what a good knee looks like if your other knee is all right. Most of the time, both knees get involved. And one of the tricks is actually to use the good system, whether it be your eye, your elbow, or your knee, to show the brain what a good knee or a good elbow or a good eye looks like, to influence the other one.
That's like a homeopathic sarcode, isn't it? Where you feed healthy signals. I know, I mean, one of the stories I wrote about was a guy who was down for a below knee amputation, had one treatment and the pain went away. So they repeated the treatment next day, and it was so good they cancelled the amputation, and he still has his foot. So, you know, you can get some dramatic step back from disaster. Yes, why not? Perhaps partly the answer for you, Marianne, is where are you? And we'll see if we can get someone near you that might be able to sort of demonstrate it. You know, I mean, treat you. I'm not going to come around and demonstrate it for free, but if you pay for them their time, and it's only like half-an-hour treatments, you might be surprised and get a good result. Oh yeah, so same question. A lot of these questions are the same, like the Jerry Tennant one was on the Q&A, is here on the chats as well. Can this help with getting rid of my terrible ringing in the ears and head?
Yes, there are. We do have protocols for that. Like I mentioned earlier on, that it's somehow getting to the cranial nerve set seems to help that as well, because if your hearing is actually part of that cranial nerve.
Yeah. Okay. So yes.
Even doesn't cranial nerves.
Yeah. What's been the success for TBI, traumatic brain injury?
Lots. It's a lot of it, and you can read what's his name, Dr. Doidge, Doidge. Has written a great book on how the brain heals. I believe Norman Doidge in chapter 7, and he goes on to fill that whole chapter with different healing that has been effective with microcurrent for traumatic brain injuries.
Okay, just give me a second. There's a little hitch here that needs solving. Kate, Kate, I can't. It's not alphabetical, Kate. I'm sorry, but she's not seeing a link. So there's one in the middle. The sanashop.com/KSM. The other one, I'll go back, and I don't think I can push it up, can I? I can try and move things aside, of course, and she says the video thing's in the way. I'll move anything I can think of, Kate. And it's thehasheprotocol.com/KSM.
And are people putting the KSM as in capital letters?
Oh, that's an important point. Yeah, well, nobody said I can't log on, but yes, it's important to remind you that after the .com, it's case sensitive, so it would have to be all uppercase letters. All right, moving on, because there's still quite a few. KSM. Khaled Sheikh Mohammed. No. Keith Scott-Mumby. I think that might be a joke. Can it be used to stimulate the nerve for epiglottal nerve or the vagal nerve using intraoral stimulation on the tongue? Well, we covered that, didn't we? That's the
it's actually accessible with this device because it's specific to 200 hertz.
Yeah. So yes, with the right device, that's a yes.
Yeah, right device.
Yeah, Conrad. Yes, now I can see all of them. This is such great information, says Julie. Thank you, Julie. We're doing our best. We're pouring our hearts out here. Roger Bazwava. Hi, Rog. no little pictures at the top. Well, that was then. Maybe we're good now, because we weren't actually, we didn't have our videos switched on at the time. Is this different from our Duff scanner? That's on the back again. See, so there's a lot of overlaps. Show us how to use the device, says Steve. Well, what can you find anything out on? I mean, goodness me, if you go to Vimeo, there's plenty of that, isn't there? There's you using these devices.
Oh, yeah.
But don't forget, Steve, it's not just switch on and, you know, where you put them. You need to have some understanding of the different programs and what they do and how to set the frequencies. All of that's free training. We tell you what to do, but you have to know. I mean, you've seen it's a handheld device. You've seen it's got the Y probe. So we can say, yes, you put that on your Vegas now. But you need to know what settings and so on. So, you know, find out more. Go to this website and you'll get picked up almost certainly, I think, by young Rob, and he likes answering questions like that. I think I covered all those. Oh, another one about Jenny. There's a great deal to be, you know, some more about for wet macular degeneration from Dr. Tennant Institute. Well, we have our own world-class experts. Thank you. Can answer all these questions. Okay, so I think that's it on chats. Oh, somebody's seeing it flicks backwards and forwards between panelists and attendees. That's your setting. It's too late, Conrad, but that's your setting. You need to go on gallery mode. If you're in speaker mode, then every time someone new speaks, you're right, the picture will shift. Just make sure nobody came in with a late question. What is the contact information for the Haches to follow up with them on some details? Well, I've given you the, this is the main one, okay? Young Rob is there on, I don't know if you can see it, I'll try and hide everything. thesanashop.com/KSM in capital letters, and he'll answer most of it. If you get stuck or for some reason he's busy or it's past 3 o'clock and he's gone to bed, just email me. Well, it will come to my customer service email, scottmumbywellness@gmail.com, and we'll pass it on to the Haches. So that's true for anything.
Any question?
Oh yeah, so Michael, you see, Michael's screwed it up. I told him repeatedly. If you're still there, Michael, that was at 7 o'clock though. Oh yeah, so it's only 7 minutes ago. Michael, I said quite clearly the KSM must be uppercase letters. Somebody else has said the same thing, Joanne, the hacheprotocol.com/KSM, but they're putting it in lowercase letters. Folks, listen, I told you. thesanashop.com/KSM in capital letters. After the .com, you have to have the case, upper or lower case, correct. If you put it in small case, it won't connect. So, and the same with the other one, the, what was it? The hash, oops, sorry. Oh gosh, I've blown it now. Idiot. I've totally, utterly blown it.
Yeah.
Let's go back to, yeah, from the current slide. I'll try and uncover it, but the book there, it's thehacheprotocol.com/ and then I repeat, KSM in capital letters. If you put it in small letters, there's several people written to say, doesn't work. And they've given me the link, so I can see immediately what they're doing wrong. They're not putting capital letters. Okay, so where are we? So let's go. So, oh, Blaze, hi, this Blaze, lovely friend, Blaze de Cisa. Can this be used if there are metal implants after surgery?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You can. No, it doesn't. It doesn't channel the current so you get electrocuted.
No, it's fine.
That's good news. Can it help with lymphedema? Well,
yes.
That's the yeah,
There's
you know, that's when people have gained weight and can't lose it because they've got too many fat cells. With 5G microwave, can this device reverse damage to cells? Well, we can't say for 5G because not enough people are experiencing it at the moment. But what about the old 3G and 4G? Have we solved anybody's issues?
3G, 4G.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people have been damaged by EMF. Let's just take the bigger question. I'm not joining in the 5G debate. This is a webinar. But if somebody feels they have been or maybe damaged by EMF frequencies, particularly cell phone towers and things, can it help?
There's it's kind of funny because there's a buildup of electromagnetic field on the C7 area.
Yeah, that means the cervical number 7 vertebra, the bony spike point that you can feel at the bottom of your neck. Yes.
So we do have a protocol where we're able to discharge electrical buildup on C7.
Ah, okay. My wife discharges it with her finger on me at night. She runs it down my spine and I go, ugh, as it discharges. It's a wonderful little gift she does for me every night. Is the price in Canadian dollars? No, US dollars, darling. Charlene, thank you very much. Saving lives into health. Yes, we are. Purchase complete. Yay, Kate succeeded. Okay, so we're getting much of the after things now. Just ordered a pro. So, all right, so there's lots of lovely people now coming on to chat and saying thank you, and I got one, and it's all good, and I'm really excited. Oh yeah, so well, here you go. Where can we find the names of practitioners in Vancouver, BC, if we do not wish to purchase? You're looking at them, my dear. They live in Courtney on Vancouver Island. You can't get any better than that.
Take a ferry.
Yeah.
Take a ferry, go see them, or get a boat and row over. Anyone else that we've not left happily? Osteoarthritis in both my knees. I think I told you that story, didn't I, once on one of these things. I had a dear old lady friend, and I only just bought my first scanner. And I said, look, let's try this thing out. I barely knew how to switch it on. I said, I'll work it on your left knee. And then tomorrow when I come for coffee, you can tell me, is it any better than your right knee? So I did about half an hour on her left knee. Next morning, the pain had gone from both knees. And 6 months later, it still hadn't come back. I was gobsmacked. It was so amazing. Right, Devita Pearson has her hand raised. Devita, how am I going to find you, sweet? Maybe you go to the top if you've got your hand. Kate wants to talk. Oh, there's quite a number of phone calling listeners. What do we do with those? Good heavens. Who did I just say? Somebody wants to call in. Could it help with bowling ball syndrome? Answer that one while I'm looking for who.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a Scottish term, but
Charlene wants to know anyone in San Diego. Listen, folks, I'll give you a generic answer for everybody of that kind of question. If you want someone to treat you, to see what it's like, or see if it does you any good, we can try and find someone near you. But rather than try and answer everybody, yes, there's one in San Diego. Yes, there's one in Tucson. Yes, there's one in Idaho, Fall, whatever. Do you see what I'm saying? That's too exhausting. Just write in and say, I live in this place. Is there a practitioner nearby who can help me?
Yeah.
We can't do any better than that, I don't think. Can it help with the extreme inflammation caused by severe toxic mold exposure?
It will bring down the inflammation.
It certainly would bring the inflammation down.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think also there are other things you need to worry about, like liver, and you need to worry about kidneys and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Will it help cure rounded shoulder posture and head forward? Oh, we had slides on that a couple of webinars ago, didn't we? It's the cell phone posture or tablet where a person's doing this. They're bending forward and their neck is cricked because they're looking down. And of course,
definitely can work with that.
Yes, but you must do something, darling. Otherwise, you'll end up with permanent deformity like this, walking around. I think it's got a name, hasn't it? The chiros call it cell phone posture or something like.
Texting neck.
Texting neck. That's it. Yeah. Okay, I've tried to cover just about everything now. I'll go down to the bottom of the list. Anything popped in? As a massage therapist in HHP in CA, are there protocols I can charge for? I think she means, are there codes, insurance codes that you can claim for? Yes. And the answer is there's quite a few, because it's recognized for, pain, sports injuries, a couple of other things.
It's like an association.
So yes, Patricia, you'll soon get your money back, sweetheart. Philip, will this help with trigeminal neuralgia? I think we covered
Yes.
that. Yes, it most certainly will.
One of the only things it does.
One of the what?
The only way is to treat trigeminal neuralgia
Is through microcurrent,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. Lymphedema, we did that. Do I order the 2 books using email or go to the website? Which 2 books? Presumably she means current therapy. Is the other one?
I think because there's an autoimmune book there and a book on inflammation. So if they want the 2 things.
Oh, I've only just seen the second book.
Yeah, there's 2.
Duh. All right, so I should have said both books.
Or they
If
can
you've
have
got
both.
one, go back and get the other.
Yeah.
You will download this. I've lost the lady's name now. I've got, there's a whole screen full of names. I'm sorry. But yes, you go to the website, please. That's the easiest way. And the website there, the page for this is the hacheprotocol.com/KSM in capital letters, please.
Someone asked
Patricia.
on the bottom, they've asked if they could do PayPal and credit card.
Yes, I was just coming to that one next.
Yeah, if they contact Robert through the live chat, he can sort that out.
So go to the other link, the Sana shop. Where are we? Oh, sorry, I've done the wrong thing.
Yeah, you got it.
So the sanashop.com/KSM in capital letters. And you will sooner or later make contact with, if he's not right there or he's busy with somebody, that's even possible. Just email and we'll connect you up.
Yeah, they can leave a message as well. They can leave what's called a ticket, and he'll get a ticket.
Okay, yeah, maybe I should get one of those. Anyway, listen, I'm drying up. I'm going to have a last look over there at the Q&As, but let's start summing things up because a lot of people are tired, and some time zones they may want to go to bed. Let's sum it up by saying that we want everyone to be happy. If you've got a question, we want to answer it. If if you need to know something, we'll connect you with one or other person. You either email me at scottmumbywellness.com and we'll forward it to these 2 dear people, or you go to either of those websites and it will get you started. But the sanashop.com is the best one, yeah? It's not just that that's where the device is, but that's where Rob is hanging out waiting for visitors, yeah? And he will engage with you as quickly as he can. Okay, so anything else you want to say before we finish? I'm just going to have a last troll through the final questions. Carla, she just tapped her name again. Yes, anyway, hi Carlos. Trying to download the free book, or their books, Carla, I got that wrong. Can't find the link. So are you on the hacheprotocol.com? I can only repeat it again. I'll show you it again. There at the bottom, look. Oh, we've lost the slideshow somewhat. hacheprotocol.com/KSM, capital K, capital S, capital M. And I don't know, is it possible that it's down or something?
I don't.
It's been working all evening, hasn't it?
Yeah, I can check with Rob.
Yeah, just go and ask, make sure. Okay, what about plaque scar tissue buildup from Peyronie's disease?
Yeah, it's possibly one of the only treatments that has been recognized for Peyronie's is actually because of scar tissue.
Yeah, it is just basically scars, and if you soften it. For those, this is a slightly indelicate subject, but for those who are curious or may have it indeed, Peyronie's disease means a bent penis. It goes sideways like that. Yeah. And it's rather embarrassing. It doesn't stop, interesting sex and ejaculation, but it's, it's not, it's kind of like a disfigurement. So it's very good to hear that there is a treatment, and this actually is about the only one that's really effective. You need to soften up that scar tissue. So this could be a great one, yes.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's
working fine. Okay, Carla, my dear, if you get stuck, what? Please leave the H.
It's the hacheprotocol.com/KSM in capitals.
Right, yeah, just the last KSM in capitals.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. I hope you, anyway, Carla, listen, Carla, we know who you are, so send us an email if you haven't solved it by the morning, and we'll solve it for you, sweet.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Yeah. Ottawa, is there a practitioner there or nearby? Actually, I've
No,
got a few of those, so I hope we can look.
I have family members in Ottawa, but I don't have it.
Not a
But I
not a
have family members there, but I don't have it.
a Navatia person. No. Okay. Well, listen, I'm going to take some numbers. I'm going to do a screen copy in case we lose them, and Rob can call those in the morning. But if you'd like to repeat what I just said, you know, that whatever is troubling a person, you know, we will make every effort to solve it over the next 24, 36 hours. We want that to happen. You know, we're not going to be difficult or inaccessible. But if you want someone near you, just email us individually, because it becomes confusing to try and read these all out and say, yes, there is, no, there isn't,
Yeah.
and so on. All right. I think it's been an absolutely fantastic session, this, and we've still got more than half the people still with us. The very patient ones, of course. Some, you know, some have to go. And I've just realized we probably overshot our time, actually. I think I only booked 2 hours, and I've just realized we've probably gone over, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
That might be the end of everything, but I don't know if I can actually edit it from here. Anyway, listen, folks, I hope you're all able to hear me. Giving a sort of good night and goodbye. It's been really great serving you all and sharing with wonderful information. It's been great for me talking to these two lovely people. I love them to bits. They're among the most special people in my ecosystem. And we hope that a lot of you will take advantage of what we've offered, and that you'll use that for magic healing and doing well, correcting things in life, both your own issues and those around you, of course. Because even with a home device, then there's nothing to stop you treating, you know, kids, neighbors,
It
husbands,
spills
wives.
over. Yeah.
But if you're a professional, we do encourage you to get the more expensive model, because it will do so much more. And we have had, well, shall we say, an issue, haven't we, with people buying the cheaper one and then realizing they should have bought the more expensive one.
And we do upgrades. So
we do upgrades will help them, but you know, why not just go for it in the
for it. If
first
you
place?
have the money, go for it.
Yeah, and then even if you don't, or it's a bit short, you can use PayPal's credit system, a credit card, or whatever.
Yeah.
All good. So I've got a strong feeling there's going to be torrents of questions that will continue into the early hours for Rob. And it starts up again tomorrow. This is what happened last time, isn't it? There was 4 or 5 days of questions. But we do want to answer them all. We're happy to answer them all. We love you all, and we're quite happy to engage. It's just that, you know, it takes time, and we can't always get around to it as fast as we'd like to. So it just remains for me, and I hope everybody can hear, they didn't get clicked off, to say thank you, John and Lorraine. Great, as always. Take care.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you, and good night, everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so let's stop that. I have to stop the share, and then I can finish the show. Ta-da!
Here we go.